it. It's been a constant in my life. So my partner, Mark Dobrith, and I and Karen, we have a playlist called Music for the Back Porch. And what that is, it's Wickstrom and Dobrith music. It's a half a dozen of our songs. And then it's some of the people that either mentored or inspired me or touched my career in some way with mainstream songs that are kind of along that same easy listening venue. And then what we've done is we've opened it up to well over a dozen up-and-coming independent artists. And what we do is we don't charge anything for them. All we do is we listen to the songs. If they fit the mood of the playlist, we add them to the playlist, and they get an algorithm that the streaming services follow. They get promoted on that, and they get more exposure for their music. So we've got, I think, 12 to 15 of those independent artists that are up and coming on the playlist right now. So if you want to help support some up and coming artists, listen to my music, and of course just a nice easy listening playlist, we call it. Just go to Spotify. It's Music for the Back Porch. It's also available on Apple, but Music for the Back Porch, listen to that. Anyway, is Dan Jacobs in the studio?
Yeah, I was a little surprised there, Terry, when you were talking about easy listening and Wickstrom and Dobrith, because I always really considered that to be hard listening.
You considered it what?
A hard listening.
Oh, a hard listen. Thank you. For someone whose theme song is performed and written by us, I think you could be a little more gentle.
Yes. That is by far the easy listening, the Dan Jacobs Show theme song. How are you, Coach?
Uh-huh.
I got a report for you.
I understand last week you had an outdoor question and we didn't get to it.
Yeah, so the ethics involved in our home, we call it Mullet Manor, kind of backs to the reservoir there. Is it unethical? Like we get, some fruit that's about to go bad or whatever. I kind of fling it over the fence because the deer like it, or we throw some carrots out for the deer. Is that an ethical violation?
I don't know if it's an ethical violation, but it's against the law in Colorado.
What do you mean?
It's against a lot of feed wildlife other than birds and squirrels in Colorado, especially big game. And it comes with a fine. Because what it does is it attracts anytime you attract deer, you're going to attract mountain lions, number one, which you don't want. And if you have deer, you'll have mountain lions. Trust me, you may never see them, but they'll be there. The other thing is that when you congregate animals through artificial feeding, you expose them to diseases by gathering them together. So it's a little bit of I guess it's probably not right. I think it goes on a lot, and whether just throwing some vegetables, some organic matter over your fence could be considered illegal or not. If they knew you were doing it specifically to feed the big game, though, you could get in trouble.
Oh, no, I'm just doing it for composting purposes. I would never feed the big game, Terry, but right. They seem to enjoy eating it from time to time. Now, let me ask you this, though. So we have one pack of deer and one pack of antelope that seem to just live in that area, and they just cycle through however many times. Maybe they come once a month, whatever. But that seems to be their environment. Are mountain lions there somewhere, or do you? They don't. I don't think they leave the reservoir area. Probably, a lot of it's fenced in anyway, but which they can get over, of course. So, do you think we secretly have mountain lions roaming around out there?
I wouldn't be surprised. I worked on a study with Parks and Wildlife back in the 90s, and we tagged and collared 35 mountain lions in the suburbs of Denver.
Ooh, interesting. By the way, real quick, I did last weekend. I went home and I did a fresh check this morning. The water level is going down. They are, I don't know if they're emptying it out or whatever, but it is. And actually, last Saturday after I talked to you, I noticed, I probably didn't give an accurate report with Terry. So, yeah, water levels at Aurora Reservoir, not dramatically down, but you can definitely see more shoreline in the areas that I'm accustomed to checking.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that almost everywhere for the rest of the year. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I had some sports questions, but I'm not going to steal your time today. I'll close this out, and you can get started.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right. We're going to wrap up this edition of Terry Wickstrom Outdoors. Thanks to John in the studio, keeping us on the air. Thanks to Karen for putting this together, making it look like I know what I'm talking about. Thanks to all of you who listen every Saturday from 9 to 11. Remember, check out the playlist. Just search on Spotify or Apple, Music for the Back Porch. Give it a listen. If you like it, save it. You'll be supporting some up-and-coming musicians. Speaking of musicians, we'll let the Eagles take us to the top of the hour, and Dan Jacobs on 104.3 The Fan.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You are listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Sports 104.3 The Fan presents the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs.
It is the Saturday edition of the Dan Jacobs Show. Welcome in. We have 6 hours together this weekend. Let's make them all count. We got some training going on behind the glass there. We got John Sanchez and Joe Goodwin hanging out. So we got 3 guys on the show this weekend. All right, so John, a big step up. You haven't run my show before, have you?
Correct. Yep. Haven't worked your show yet.
All right. Well, John, you're on to fame and fortune. Just wait for it all to roll in, because that's normally what happens to our Dan Jacobs Show producer/board ops. Welcome into the program. Man, what a week in sports. It was one of those weeks where so much was going on. You're like, why? I got to remember to talk about that. I got to remember to talk about that. I got to remember to talk about that. So we'll get that all out of our system through the course of the next 3 hours. Watched the NBA Finals last night, and it's funny because if you go to DenverSports.com, there's an article on there by James Marilat, exactly what I was thinking about. How are the Nuggets in their current mental capacity? Were they ever going to compete with the teams of this ilk? I mean, honestly, with the Oklahoma City Thunder as well. So we'll be talking Avs. We'll be talking Nuggets. We'll talk a little bit of Broncos. I did take a peek. I didn't go in depth. I know some of you might be wondering about the Jonathan Cooper stuff and if he's in big trouble, little trouble, what type of trouble. Obviously, it's never good when you get arrested, but I might talk about that a little bit. I haven't done an in-depth dive in it, but from what I saw, nothing to. Obviously, it's a serious situation, but I wouldn't be too concerned with it. It's funny though, the difference in pass rushers. We talked about Von Miller coming back. I was just thinking about this. You're talking about Von Miller coming back, and you have virtually. Actually, not even identical situations. If you believe what you have seen so far about Jonathan Cooper, a much less severe situation happens with him, and he gets arrested. A probably more severe situation happens with Von Miller when he was here, and he doesn't get arrested, even though it was pretty much compulsory under the law. Do you have to ask who was the bigger star in this town? Jonathan Cooper or Von Miller? I think we know the answer to that. So, do superstars get different treatment under the law? I guess we can ponder that question. But the Jonathan Cooper thing went down. The Chris McFarland thing went down this week. The Jared Bednar seemingly running it back conversation went down this week. Broncos with their OTAs and all sorts of questions with that. So going to have a lot to unpack. And then that's it for 2 weeks for the Dan Jacobs Show, because we're headed to Ireland. I think last Saturday I had not done the math correctly. I hadn't looked at the calendar correctly. And I'm like, all right, that's it. We got 6 more hours and then I'm out for 2 weeks. And then I realized I'm not leaving until Monday. So anyway, if you guys have tips for anything over to do, we're not, originally we were going to do the whole shebang, the headache, drag the family all across, go to Ireland, go to London, go to maybe Paris and Rome. We decided, you know what, we're just going to keep it to one English-speaking country so that life is not so difficult. Life gets difficult as you get older with families and traveling and all that stuff. So anyway, you have any tips for me as we will be in Northern Ireland for the DeLorean Eurofest and also traveling around, staying in castles and stuff like that. So both Northern Ireland and regular. I don't think they call it Ireland proper, but just Ireland. So the whole island will be there. So you have any travel tips or stuff like that, I'll be here for the next 6 hours. 3 hours today, and of course 3 hours tomorrow with the easy like Sunday morning edition of the Dan Jacobs Show. I did mention the NBA Finals. I was surprised by that last night because it's funny. You watch the first game 1 of the NBA Finals this week, and it almost seemed like a coronation. Like the announcers just couldn't wait to coronate the San Antonio Spurs. And then the Knicks said, "Oh, well, let's see about that." Come back, they win game 1 in a relatively convincing fashion. And then, of course, last night, a much closer game. But I don't know, Wemby, it seems to me, and Joe, I know you watch a lot of the NBA too, it seems to me against the Thunder, we were mythologizing Victor Wembanyama like some sort of Greek god, like just invincible. He's like Achilles. And then this series, he looks completely normal, human. He looks human. In fact, he looks below human. He looks like he's playing below the Wemby standard. What'd you make of the game last night, Joe?
To use your Greek god metaphor, Dan, he's more like Kronos, where he looked really good, and now it turns out was like Jalen Brunson's Zeus, I guess. He's the god is falling, Dan. New York played him really well. They did smart things, even though they gave up some fouls. And dude, this series looks more in New York's favor than I thought. Like, I thought I was in the minority being like, I think they might have a chance. Bro, this is going to be tough now for San Antonio, obviously. They're down 0-2.
Yeah, they're down 0-2. And I don't know that I ever hear anybody else mention this, but I just have a hard time looking at Wemby and seeing him. Not that I'm wishing this upon him. Of course I'm not. But how's that dude going to stay healthy? Let's just be honest about it. Like, I just don't see how somebody that big is going to – now, he's lighter. He doesn't necessarily have as much bulk yet. He could grow into his body a little bit more. But just so long, so kind of a little bit of that awkward stuff. But you just don't see giants like that stay healthy.
It's mind-boggling.
It's very tough. So as much talent as he has, is it – I know they wanted to crown him – they're way ahead of schedule, and they almost made it want to kind of seem like, well, oh, man, if the Spurs win it this year, forget it. You can check out for the next 5 years because ain't nobody beating them. I don't know. First off, I think he has a long way to go as far as development. We can see that. He's definitely not but we saw that with LeBron too, right? LeBron was not – he was dominant physically as is his skill set and his tools, but it took him a while to become a killer. Wemby's not a killer just yet, as far as, especially particularly on the offensive side of the ball, because I don't think he knows exactly what he wants to be just yet. Because if he's just going to be this guy that just sits back and shoots 3-pointers all night long because nobody can block his shot, I don't think that's his path to basketball immortality.
No, I think he took more 3-pointers because he was tired, Dan.
He did. They did seem a little tired out there, but he was also just trying to get shots off in the second half because he didn't get shots in the first half. But when you're that tall, you got to work near the basket. Yeah, you gotta work where the high percentage shots lie. And I know that he's not Shaq. He's not going to physically just. In fact, I think that would be part of what might hamper his career. Is if he tries to become some just physical bully down there. But he doesn't have to be a bully. He's just got to get the ball above his head and throw it down. And he can do that. I don't think he likes to do that. I don't think he loves to do that. Like, if it's easy, he'll take it. So he's got a lot of maturing to do. And I can't think of anybody his size that's ever gone through the league without a significant injury history. It just happens to all those guys. Scott Hastings used to say, have you ever seen a 80-year-old giant No, because if you're over 7 foot, you don't live that long. Now, it's getting a little different, right? Like, the life expectancy is going up. But I just, remember Sean Bradley? Remember Yao Ming? We've had guys like this before that were just huge and skilled. Like Sean Bradley was supposed to be the first Victor Wembanyama. He really was. Because he could shoot, he could rebound, he could dribble. And it is impressive. Everything with Wemby is impressive. I just don't know how it's going to hold up. But that's what Sean Bradley, I remember my grandpa was telling me about, this guy, and he's going to be fantastic. He's got guard skills, but he's 7 foot. I don't know, what was Bradley, 7'3", 7'4"? But it wasn't to be. Now, he blocked a lot of shots. Wemby's going to block a lot of shots. But, yeah, we'll just see how it plays out. But I think I think the coronation of the Spurs was just a little bit premature. But it's interesting to see. It will be funny if they don't break through to see yet another, because this is one of the things I've talked about with the Nuggets. If you were going to get a dynasty, this was kind of the time to do it, because every year there's somebody different. And even this year where it's like, the Spurs knocked off the Thunder. Well, the Spurs are going to get it. I don't know. Maybe all of a sudden out of nowhere it's going to be the Knicks. All right, we like to do this every week. It's the best part of your week. It's James Marilat, brought to you by the Birdie Bar in Louisville, the premier indoor golf bar in downtown Louisville, locally owned and operated. Find them at birdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Welcome to the program. James Marilat, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's just go ahead and transition quickly into the conversation that I was just talking about, because you wrote an article for DenverSports.com talking about watching the games and saying, all right, I guess the Nuggets, we all had this pipe dream that they were going to be championship contenders, but looking at these two teams, they never really were in it. I was also just saying, though, before you came on, this is also an era where if you were going to have a dynasty because you had the best player in the sport for a half decade, this would have been the time to do it, because you didn't have other dynasties hanging around. But as it turns out, if we go to DenverSports.com, you had some thoughts about, whether the Nuggets were really ever in that conversation.
Yeah, it's actually based on some stuff Cecil was talking about on Thursday when he was, having watched Game 1 and looking at those two teams and saying, man, the Nuggets weren't all that close. I don't know that I agree with Cecil on that. I think they just had their worst possible matchup. Minnesota's got their number. They played physical with them, and the Nuggets didn't have an answer for it. If they bring back the exact same group, bring back Payton Watson, I think they're one of the 5 or 6 top contenders next year too. So I think everybody's kind of jumping off that bandwagon a little too quickly. But I am with you. It was the time to have a dynasty if you were ever going to have one, because there's no other super team. It's not like they're dealing with LeBron and the Heat, or Steph and the Warriors, or some of those teams that won multiple titles over the course of 5, 6, 7 years. So it just makes the missed opportunity even that much bigger, the fact that they weren't able to take advantage of it, and quite frankly, not even get close. They got the one championship and never got close other than that one. That's maybe the biggest indictment of all.
Well, I'm not going to, because I'll get lit up later if I let you do this. You kind of slipped it in. You're an ever-changing chameleon, James. So what I think I heard, because I don't want to hear this nonsense about, Dan, you're twisting my words. I didn't say that. It was 30 seconds ago. Did you or did you not just soft sell the Nuggets and be like, they kind of ran into a bad matchup. No big deal. They're really talented. We're jumping off the bandwagon. It was a bad matchup. Is that your position now, James, a couple weeks later, 3 weeks later?
No, I think it's 3 parts. Well, there's multiple, but the 3 biggest ones. It is a bad matchup. It just is. Minnesota's always been a bad matchup for them.
Minnesota without Ant and without 2 of their other best scorers, that's a bad matchup. Then you tell me, James, what is a good matchup that the Nuggets can actually win then? You explain it to me.
They can beat San Antonio. They
get out of town, all year long. Dude. Get out of town.
It's a bad matchup, right? They had some health issues, not as many as Minnesota, but they did have health issues, especially to their 2 best defensive players. And a team that doesn't play defense all that well, you take out their 2 best defensive players, that's a huge loss. And, then all of a sudden they just got cold. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Jokic and Murray were 2 of the better open 3-point shooters all season long, in the postseason, they were 2 of the 5 worst. So, you put all those things together where you lose your best defenders, you're going up against a team that plays you physical, that you have a hard time with, and you're an offensive-minded team that all of a sudden can't hit shots. That becomes a recipe for disaster. Do I think that exact same recipe is going to happen year after year after year? Well, it depends on who they get.
It does happen. Whoa. Who is this? Is this James's brother, Ned? Like, who am I talking to? It does happen every year. It happens every year with the Nuggets and Avalanche, except for I had a good buddy of mine that used to say, what's the exception and what's the norm? The norm is they get beat in the playoffs every year for both the Avs and Nuggets. The exception was the championship for both the Avs and the Nuggets.
With that.
Are you changing your stance now, James? Oh, it's just a bad matchup. It happens every year. When's it not going to happen?
I'm not changing my stance. What I'm saying is I don't think people should overreact, and by people I'm talking Josh Kroenke and the Nuggets, that they should overreact and all of a sudden they go trading guys for pennies on the dollar, start doing salary dumps so they can avoid tax, luxury tax and aprons and all the rest of that stuff, and the team is worse. So they're not, if they can get true value for Cam, great, trade him. If you can get true value for AG, great, trade him, but I don't think they're going to be able to. So to make changes just for change's sake, I think would be foolish. I think the change they should have made was the head coach, and that's the same change the Avs should have made as well. But, they're making the Rockies look like they're innovative in terms of changes that they make, because that is, Mike Evans used to call it, Stan, Pat, and Blake in terms of where Coors Field is. That's what the Chopper Circle is at this point. It's Stan, Pat, Circle. All
right. Well, you're saying Stan, Pat, though. Wait a minute. That's what you're saying. You're saying, don't knee-jerk and cut salary. Just go back all in. They should have got rid of the coach, but outside of that, just keep it going. Pay $200 million in luxury tax to bring back a team that had a bad matchup against the JV T-Wolves team, but they'll do better next year. That's what I'm hearing, James.
Well, how did the salary dump last year work out?
What salary dump?
Not very well. Yes, it was a salary dump, and now they got a expiring contract in Cam Johnson. So it was a total salary dump before they had to pay $200 million more to MPJ over the course of that contract. So what I'm saying is, if you can't get a trade that is fair value, that's going to improve the team, I don't want them to make trades just to make trades. The change they should have made was the head coach should have brought back this group, with a different head coach and see what they can do. But they decided not to do that, so that's fine, I guess. But like I say, dumping players just to make changes, I think would be a mistake.
Well, they're not dumping them.
And I'm never a fan of salary dumps. Why in the world do we care if Stan Kroenke has to pay a luxury tax? He's a billionaire, the largest landowner in America, and we're worried about him having to pay a luxury tax? Give me a break.
Well, but if it winds up being, you're going to pay $200 million extra to bring back a team that couldn't get out of the first round against a decimated T-Wolves team? Well, how does that make any sense?
Well, what is your proposition?
They're obviously going to have to take
under the tax and be worse. So
yes.
Hey, let's save Stan some money and maybe we can get to 41 wins. That'll be a hell of a lot of fun. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, they're going to have to get under the tax so they can reload. They have to cut some
reload
dead weight.
With what? They don't have a pick until 2030. How are they going to reload?
Cam Johnson is dead weight. Aaron Gordon, we love him. He can't stay healthy anymore. He's saddling you with a $32 million cap charge. To be honest with you, Jamal Murray, dead weight. You're not going to win with him. Get rid of $80 or $100 million worth of contracts that are not going to help you win an NBA championship, and see if we can get a second run out of Nikola Jokic's the waning part of his prime. That makes sense to me. Pretending that this team is going to be a champion next year if you run it back and pay $200 million in ridiculous luxury taxes, that's like an ostrich burying your head in the sand, James.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, if you don't get fair value back, your team is going to be worse. It'll be cheaper, but it'll be worse. So, I mean, I don't know why that, as a fan, sounds good at all. That certainly isn't going to be a team that's going to get you out of the first or second round. A team with less talent, and you still got David Adelman coaching them. So you're going to give David Adelman a lesser team, and then it's going to get you a different result.
He actually did better. Actually, James, he did have a lesser team the year before and got a much better result. How about that?
Well, they had MPJ that year,
All right.
and an injured MPJ. They had a guy that could actually knock down some shots.
All right, I got to get into a couple.
This year they didn't.
I got to get into a couple other things with you real quick. Avalanche, they're running it back 100%. So can we expect a cup?
There was 4 of them right in a row.
Sorry, one more time, Dan.
Avalanche running it back with the looks like Bednar, and probably will have a very similar team. So then, can we expect they just had a bad matchup with the Knights? They're going to win the cup next year.
Well, I mean, again, I would have changed the head coach. I think they need to bring in somebody that's a little bit more of a, get on guys, fire them up. I need a Patrick Waugh type that's going to try and tear down the glass between the bench and the penalty box. That's what I want to see, but they didn't do that. But I'm certainly not a proponent of trading away Makar, trading away McKinnon, blowing up the core. I think that would be a big mistake. Listen, I'm not in favor of completely standing pat. I was in favor of changing both head coaches, and you and I have talked about it a lot. That is the simplest change to make. And then if that doesn't work, then you start looking at what you want to do with the roster. But, they're going to bring it back. I understand their rationale of, hey, they had a really good season, but they're a team that's built for regular season success, not playoff success. I think we've had a large enough sample size to see that that's the case.
All right, last thing for you, James. I would be remiss if I didn't at least give you an opportunity to tell us about Russell Wilson, future Hall of Famer Russell Wilson, and your thoughts, the emotional moments you had in private this week as he hung him up.
Yeah, it's a shame the way Russ's career ended. Just bouncing around. I'm still disappointed with how it turned out in Denver, not just because of what they gave up and what money-wise and player-wise and pick-wise, and that he underachieved in Denver. I'm just disappointed with the way it all played out in terms of giving him the shot at things. I mean, that second year they go 8-9. They're playing on Christmas Eve with the chance to stay in the playoff hunt. He leads this great fourth-quarter comeback against the Pats, and then Pat Surtain gets beat by a guy that's probably not even in the league anymore. And they end up losing. It's just what could have been. I guess that's what I'm looking at with Russ. I mean, he put up good numbers other than the win-loss column when he was in Denver. Touchdowns, interception, fourth quarter comebacks. Like, he still had some of that magic. He just couldn't quite get over the hump. Like, the game that pops into my mind is he throws the Hail Mary at the end against the Commanders, and they get that. They just need the 2-point conversion to force overtime, and they can't get it. It's I think that's indicative, kind of a microcosm of the Russ era. It was close, but obviously, it's close enough. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. That's the epitome of Russ's time in Denver.
All right. Well, I saw your text. You're saying, hey, great career, on to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's going to make it or not, but I'm looking at it, James, as the end of the dark times. It's the official turning of the page on the dark times of Broncos history. We're on to the next bright epic.
I just wish we would have seen Sean Payton put as much effort into winning and finding success with Russ as he has with Bo, because when he's in on the quarterback, man, he'll do darn near anything to make sure that guy has success. And I'm not saying he sabotaged Russ, but he certainly didn't set him up for success.
You're not saying that today. You floated that conspiracy theory in past appearances on this show. Yeah.
No, that's definitely the case. And then, he went to Pittsburgh, and he was fine. That is 1 year there. Then at the end of the season, they lost to 5 straight playoff teams. And then in New York, hey, you start 0-3. They're going to make the switch to the kid. But in those 3 games that he played to start the season with the Giants, he had the best game any quarterback had last year in the game he put up against Dallas. So it's not his fault that gave him a lead with 40 seconds left and the defense blew it. So, he's just one of those guys. When he was in Seattle, it was the perfect scenario and the magic was there, and he just couldn't recreate that in any other place. So sometimes I think Russ is a good example of the grass isn't always greener. He thought he could go find a better situation than Seattle. It's like McLean Stevenson leaving MASH. When you're on a hit, don't leave, Dan. Ride it out as long as you can.
All right. And I don't know who that is, but you're much older than I, so I'll take your word for it. All right, James.
Oh, you know who it is. Dr. Henry Blake? Come on.
The guy with the glasses?
No, that's Radar.
All right, man. MASH was before my time. I don't know what to tell you, man. You're much older than I am.
What do you mean it's before your time? It's before my time, too. It was on after the news every night for like 10 years.
All right. James, we're going to take a couple weeks off. We will be back at it in, I think, 3 weeks. I can't wait.
Looking forward to it. Enjoy your time off, Dan.
All right, that's James Marilat. We got some splaining to do with young Mr. Marilat. What was he saying? the Nuggets just happened to run into a bad matchup. He's all over the place. The James Merrill flip-flop. He's the John Kerry of the fan now. He was before he was against it. He was for it before he was against it. I don't know. We'll unpack some of that stuff. Plus, yes, Russell Wilson hung them up. Did he destroy his legacy by, as James was just talking about, he thought he could be the man, and did he actually destroy his own legacy because of his own ego? We'll get into that coming up next.
Let's ride.
With Courtland Sutton and Jalen Waddle being the top guys, who will end up being the Broncos' third most productive receiver this season?
Evan Ingram. I think you might see, he's in the second year here. He'll be more comfortable with Bo, with the offense. And then I think you're going to see Davis Webb highlight the tight end more than maybe Sean Payton did.
I think Pat Bryant is a guy that they really like.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Jacob's Law, 303 Law 4040, 303 Law 4040. I think it's funny. Some people don't believe it when I say that when you call 303 Law 4040, you don't get a call center overseas or some answering service. You actually speak directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly. Yesterday, we just met with a man, signed him up. He'd been injured in an accident. We got in the car. Somebody called 303 Law 4040, and I think his name was David, but he says, hi, Kim. I think Dan's great. And I happened to be there, and I was like, I think Dan's great too. And he's like, oh, Dan, hi, how are you? We were able to talk him through a little bit of a situation. It wasn't actually a situation with a car accident or things like that, but it was just a legal situation. Kind of gave us some advice and chatted him up. And he was like, oh, man, this is cool. I appreciate you, Dan. You actually do answer the phone. We are here for you. We actually give all of our clients our cell phone numbers. You will get my personal cell phone number. You get Kim's cell phone number. You get Chris's and Michelle's and Juan's. We'll always be there for you throughout the process. We hope you never have to call us, but go ahead and save that number in your phone just in case. You never know when an accident is going to happen. It's 303 Law 4040.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use, now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Women go through many changes in their lives. And we believe each milestone matters. That every new candle represents another step in your story. Our healthcare experts support women at every stage of life. Because each chapter deserves to be celebrated. Women's health. Nurture what's next. Find care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health. Human kindness lives here.
What if you had the most reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years thanks to Xfinity's summer savings event? You don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 15th, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included. No strings, no commitments, and get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected online from threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions applies, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, taxes and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply to Mobile Select. Xfinity Internet required, speeds vary, use of fiber, coaxial cable.
When you own your own business, you own every decision. Catch the red eye or take the 6 a.m. make a new hire, or promote internally.
Celebrate a win with a toast at the gate or unwind at the lounge. Big props to this team.
Some decisions are a win-win, like earning 8 times points on Chase Travel. Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, the business card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member of FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
You're listening to the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
And Jacobs Show, thanks to James Marilat. Quite a bit to unpack from that. Now, a reminder, you can get in touch with the show a couple ways. Of course, the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. And now the Champ Honda YouTube chat line, to which I expect a whole bunch of. Now, Joe, you would expect this to happen, right? Last week, not all we had, but we had a bunch of just angst about there was something wrong with Just the Weekends feed for YouTube. Now, I took it upon myself to go to the powers that be, namely JJ, and say, JJ, our listeners are upset. They want to see the judge on YouTube. They want to see me. What are you guys doing back there? We need this thing corrected. And Mel and everyone's like, I can't do this anymore, blah, 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 blah. I said, we're working on it. And they were just very upset. Now, I got it fixed. It should be running like a top. It should be perfect. So I would imagine I'll just get nothing but a parade of comments on the top chat on YouTube on the Champ Honda YouTube chat line. I don't see any yet, Joe. Maybe we do still have some technical issues. Do you think YouTube is stopping all the fans of the show that were griping last week from coming in and saying, Dan, thank you so much, from expressing their gratitude for the hard work that we put in to make life better for them? I don't see any yet. You think it's a glitch? You think we're still glitching? Or you think they just haven't gotten around to it?
I think it's a conspiracy, Dan. I think that the YouTube cabal is trying to stop all of the textures that, of course, are commenters on the Champ Honda YouTube chat that agree with Dan Jacobs.
Yeah, well, they need to express their gratitude. That's all I'm saying. If you're gonna chirp and complain and bellyache, then I want to hear from you when we get it corrected, when we do a good job. Now, of course, they could say, well, Dan, it was your job to begin with. You shouldn't have had to come this far. Should have just been perfect from the beginning. All right. Anyway.
The standard is the standard.
I'm just having a little fun with our Champ Honda YouTube chat listeners. Go ahead, do us a favor. Log on. Check us out. You always wondered, you heard my voice all these years, and now you wonder, what does that guy actually look like? Go ahead. Log in to the show. Denver Sports on YouTube. We'd appreciate that to let you know you're out there supporting the show. And, of course, you can always listen on the app or via 104.3 FM. All right, I wanted to get to a couple things here with Russ. We're not going to spend a whole show on Russell Wilson or anything like that, but it was something James had mentioned that had also piqued my curiosity before the show. In fact, I have it on the rundown. And what James was mentioning was, well, it kind of didn't end well for him, which is odd because at the time, James was tripping over himself to apologize for Russell Wilson during every step of the way. Oh, no, he's doing really good in Pittsburgh, blah, blah, blah. He'll win a Super Bowl. His pinned tweet, James's pinned tweet for a long time was, guarantee it that Russell Wilson is going to win a Super Bowl before Sean Payton.
I was wrong about Russ.
Mark it down. And the funny thing was, oftentimes he would say, 2 years from now, Russell's going to be winning the Super Bowl and Sean Payton will be back in the Fox broadcast booth. Who's in the broadcast booth now? It's Russell Wilson. He will not be winning another Super Bowl. And just maybe, Sean Payton will be hoisting Lombardi Trophy. By the way, Joe, what did you make of the news? It kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. That they're just these networks are just tripping over themselves to throw money at Russell Wilson to talk about football when every single time he's been asked to talk about football for the last decade and a half or however many years he played, he gave us nothing. It was nothing but a bunch of lip service, propaganda, nonsense. He was either promoting himself and his brand or spitting cliches or catchphrases. He hardly, I think right there at the very end, he finally took a shot or two at Sean Payton. He wouldn't even stand up for himself. He was kind of the cowardly lion when it came to NFL players in that regard. Now,
have you seen Monty Python's Holy Grail, Dan?
I have seen it a long time ago, yeah.
He's the brave Sir Robin.
Which is that the guy that kept getting his arms cut off?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, just merely a flesh wound.
No, he's the one that cowered from everybody, and his guy is dancing behind him like the brave Sir Robin. He's so brave. He's gonna get his arms cut off and his head chopped down and all these things.
Yeah,
and the guy's like, I'm gonna run away now. That's Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So if teammates are yelling at him, he just sits there and takes it. But which is fine. Like, hey, he's a classy guy. He wanted to project himself as a classy guy. But it just drives me crazy. These guys. They have nothing to say to the media. By the way, how about Mark Schlereth? Mark Schlereth would fine his teammates if they talked to the media. Now look at him. He's all over the place. But these guys, they say nothing. They give you nothing. And Tim Tebow's same thing.
Man, you got to feel this
Spitting
shirt.
Nothing but cliches at you. And then, time to get out and make some of that media money. Forget about it. The one I think is funny is John Gruden. For years, John Gruden ruined Monday Night Football. It gave you absolutely nothing. It was a terrible listen. Has all these great stories, all this insight. He's actually got a funny, snarky personality, but he gives us none of that. He just recycles a bunch of garbage, and it made it impossible to watch Monday Night Football for a long time. Well, why was he doing that? Because he wanted to get back in the game. And then he gets back in the game. Turns out he's a pig. He gets blackballed. And now all of a sudden, if you look at him on YouTube, not YouTube, the Barstool. Isn't he Barstool, I think? Now he's got all sorts of stuff. He's funny. He's witty. He's doing videos. He's got all sorts of anecdotes. He's doing fantastic. Where was that when you were ruining Monday Night Football? So just, I don't know, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it, but these guys that go out there and are just give us nothing but headaches or frustration when it's time for them to talk to the media. But then all of a sudden, well, I want to become the media now. Now I want to be the media. Oh, now I've got something to say. Now I'm going to be interesting. Now I'm going to be entertaining.
The force is strong in this one. I can feel the presence.
So, what do you make of it, Joe?
I feel like one of the biggest reasons that like Russell Wilson is getting a job in television is because they know it's going to be a clown show, and they know that they're going to get at least a whole bunch of free views every time they put him on camera the first few times, because we're all going to want to see what happens. And if it's like hilariously bad, like a really bad movie, like Morbius or something, then people are going to keep watching, and they're going to have a gold mine of terribleness.
Yeah, it's weird because Tom Brady's terrible too. If you believe what we heard about Romo, the funny thing is Romo was fantastic, and he got a little too big for his britches, and he got lazy, and he started getting called out, and I think he's pretty good again. But you really got to care and want to do it and bring something. These guys like Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, what a joke. Even doesn't Tim Tebow do college football stuff? What a joke. They got nothing. They bring nothing to the table. And then now we gotta have all these streaming services and stuff so they can pay Tom Brady. How much does Tom Brady make a year? Tens of millions of dollars. How much is Russell Wilson gonna make? I don't know if they announced the numbers yet, but it's gonna be ridiculous.
Let's ride.
So, anyway, all right. So Russell Wilson, Hall of Famer, Joe.
No, I think he might have been able to make a case for one of those guys like 10 or 15 years after they retire Hall of Fame. I think he's played himself out of that now, and he is a future broadcaster, and that's about it.
It is, yeah. He basically, what we were hinting at was his thing in Seattle was they didn't let him cook. He wanted to call plays and do all the stuff, and they went to him and they said, Russ, we love you, but you're not good enough. You're not that type of quarterback. So he forces his way out. Seattle can't wait to get rid of him. Actually gets better after he leaves. And then he craters the franchise for what? 4 years. We're finally now back to competitiveness and had to take the largest cap hit in history. But he exposed himself. Now, I don't blame a guy for believing in himself, but he thought he was the all-time best quarterback of all time.
When you say let Russ cook, all I think of is the Nickelodeon game on Christmas with Patrick from SpongeBob going, I don't think that's what he wanted to cook.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
All right, we have somebody on the RumbleSlaw.com text line saying, did I hear what I thought I heard with James Marilat? We'll get into that coming up next.
It's the ultimate showdown for a great cause. Setting up the ultimate gold medal showdown. On June 11th, Brandon Stokely goes head-to-head with Zach By in 100 Holes for Kids. 100 holes of golf. It's a one-day event all to raise money for Recruiting Classroom, whose mission it is to help kids play sports. Who will raise the most? That's where you come in. Pick your player, make your donation, and help kids win. To support Brandon Stokely, head to StokelyCares.com. To support Zach By, head to ZachCares.com.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com. Just got a text from my lovely wife, Kimberly. She's starting up the Rectex smoker right now. Going to throw some ribs on. Have some burgers, some steaks after the show. It's my daughter's 22nd birthday, plus my sister's coming over to talk about a trip she went on. So it's part of the fabric of life. You cook good food, good meats to get together and create great memories. That's what I'm doing this afternoon. And it's affordable again, thanks to DeerTrailMeatCo.com. I'm throwing on some ribs, some tenderloin, some ground beef. Ground beef, $8 a pound now. Are you kidding me? I'm not talking about it used to be, organic ground beef was $8 a pound or something like that. No, I'm talking about just regular run-of-the-mill ground beef, $8 a pound. Not with DeerTrailMeatCo.com. They bundle up depending on what you want to do. You want to dip your toe in, you get an eighth of a cow, all the way up to a quarter, half, full cows. They deliver it to your front door with a money-back guarantee at tremendous savings. We're talking like 75% off of what you pay at the grocery store. Check them out. All sorts of cool stuff on the website. You'll thank me. It's DeerTrailMeatCo.com. That's DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
Done right kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Our 8% scheduling incentive and bank financing to ask about make a great time to call 800-362-8370 or drhi.com.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses, or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code THRIVE to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code THRIVE to borrow up to $10,000. Use code THRIVE to borrow up to $10,000.
Hello, I'm Ozempic, and I'm other GLP-1s, kind of like him. Hey, are you shaking a maraca?
No, I'm shaking the pill version of Ozempic, which no one should ever do except in ads like this.
A nice disclaimer.
Hey, thanks. Ask your doctor about which FDA-approved uses of the Ozempic pen or pill may be right for you. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and learn more about Ozempic semaglutide tablets, 9 milligrams, and Ozempic semaglutide injection, 2 milligrams.
There's a pill version of Ozempic.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org.
7 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
If you haven't filed taxes in a while, listen up. The IRS is going after non-filers, in some cases criminally. Advanced Tax Solution can help you avoid trouble with the IRS. Call 303-753-6040 or visit
that. Also, Mel, that's from at Dick's Prince, like Prints. Thanks for checking in there, sir. And then at Mel in Denver, Dan, the feed is way better now, not skipping so far. What was the issue? I don't want to get into the details. Basically, I fixed it, Mel. I took it upon myself, and they try to do that thing where they say, well, it's a. They try and throw something at you, and they don't expect you to know what's going on. And so I'm like, yeah, I know what that means. Do this. And they called me the next day. They're like, dude, you're right. We did that. Thanks. I saved the friggin' day, I guess. I think
Dan, your technical expertise, it knows no bounds.
It's fantastic. It's phenomenal. So, yeah, check us out on the YouTube channel. Just go to DenverSports on YouTube and jump in the chat if you'd like. The Champ Honda chat. By the way, Mel, somebody on the RamosLaw.com text line. So, well, first this texter said, let me guess, Mel in Denver is complaining on the YouTube chat. And then he says, Mel's a gangster. No, she wasn't complaining. She actually did. She said, thank you. You did a good job. Or it looks great. What happened? So good. Thank you for that. Now, Joe, we talked about the start of the show that you were training John Sanchez there. And you told me during the break, you're, boy, hoity-toity, going to hang out in Telluride? Pretty amazing. You're going to the Telluride Music Festival in, 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, I can't wait, Dan. It's going to be awesome. Me and my dad, my buddy Jimbo that helps run the tailgate now, a couple of our friends, we're going to go up there and party way too hard for the Telluride Bluegrass Festival.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. Yeah, my wife went on a girls' trip to Telluride many years ago and always wanted to go back. It was always her dream. So last year, and I'd never been, we went to Telluride. And the interesting thing about Telluride is you hear how expensive it is. The VRBO we stayed in, I looked it up on Zillow. It's like a $7 million VRBO. It had 5 dishwashers, it had all this stuff. Every room had its own balcony and bathroom, all that stuff. So it was like MTV Cribs. I couldn't believe how nice it was. But in the summer, demand is way less, and so it was actually affordable. Like it wasn't. But I think during it was probably one of those like $20,000 or $30,000 a month condos during ski season. But it was a few $100 or whatever. It was pretty cool. So a good time. They have it set up there where you can just jump on the gondolas. They really don't want you driving very much because there's just not that much room for the amount of people it attracts. So, yeah, you just go. You get to the parking lot and you just ride the gondolas, and it's beautiful. It's fantastic. There's hiking. I'm sure you'll be doing a little imbibing while you're there, taking in music.
Absolutely, Dan. We don't want to be driving with the state that we're going to be in, but we're going to grill. We're going to bring up Jimbo wanted to do some barbecue chicken or some sweet chili because Jimbo, he's a cook that probably isn't quite as good as yourself, but I'd say he rivals the great Dan Jacobs. Okay. We're going to have some good stuff.
Yeah, what's interesting is, so I'm doing some ribs tonight. We had the big meat fest, graduation party. I pulled out all the stops. I did smoked tenderloin. And just kind of as a throwaway, I threw in some ribs because my daughter who was graduating, one of my daughters, Audra, she likes ribs. So I made some brisket for my other daughter, Flora, who, by the way, happy birthday, Flora, 22 years old today. She likes brisket. We made some brisket for her. And then I made ribs. Everybody loved the ribs. So we're having some people over again tonight. They're like, "Are you going to make the ribs again? You going to make the ribs again?" I never really consider my ribs my best signature dish, but sometimes it just works out. So we're making the ribs. By the way, I let my my butt write a check, my mouth had to cash this week, Joe, when it came to the barbecue. So we of course, we're doing the 303 Law 4040 thing. Bad accident. They ask, the client has not been able to get out of a hospital bed yet. Dad calls, 303 Law 4040, says, can you come up and visit us? Can you come talk to us? Tell us what we need to do. So I go up there. Turns out the dad, who's in from California, he's a cook. Like, that's what he does for a living. So I'm bragging. I'm like, well, yeah, you don't know me, but I'm the barbecue lawyer. And this and that. I'm talking about the barbecue. I'm talking about the best free meal in Denver, right? Running my mouth, as I've been known to do. I love breakfast meats. And so what I had to do was so we got him signed up, and I had to come back for a little bit of additional paperwork the next day. The client is in the hospital bed. She's in rough shape. I said, well, do you need anything? Can I bring you something? Because I'm going to be coming back tomorrow. Something to make herself, more comfortable, stuff like that. She goes, no, we're good. I got my family. They're bringing me everything. And then about 2 minutes later, she goes, can you bring me some of your barbecue? I'm like, well, what are you going to say, Joe? Am I going to say no?
No, of course not. Come on now. You make the best darn barbecue that you've made in years is what you do, Dan.
So I had to go, of course. I'd be happy to, which I was. But I had to go straight home, go to the freezer, get some deer trail out, and I did some brisket and some pork. And it was funny, man, the smile on her face. So it was cool. We did do it. But so I just made fresh barbecue. Made some for her and then some for her family. And she said, man, that smells good. And just genuine joy on her face. It was awesome. But
so you're saying, Dan, that if I go to the hospital, that you will bring me some barbecue? Is that what you're saying?
I probably would. I mean, if I didn't know any better and I know that you hate barbecue, and so I wouldn't offend you that way. Otherwise, I would. But I
Thanks,
understand.
dude.
You don't like barbecue anymore. But what's somebody saying here on the text line? I don't know. He just typed in DeLoreans. I don't know what that means. Like, people say, I bring up the DeLorean too much with this texter. Just bring it in DeLorean. By the way, that's where we're going. We're going to Ireland on Monday for once every. Actually, I haven't done this one since pre-pandemic, so it's been like 7 years. But once every 5 years, we can go to the test track where the DeLoreans were made, and they ran them around and make sure they were up to speed in the old factory, which is something else now. But you can tour the old factory and drive DeLoreans on the test track. It is awesome. And I'm going to go have some fun doing that. So we're going to DeLorean Eurofest. By the way, I thought I was brilliant, Joe, because I'm going to go. I have a problem. I'm a little bit of a DeLorean collector / hoarder. And I'm expecting to be able to buy all sorts of unique DeLorean stuff. We're going to the land of the DeLorean where it was made. So what I'm going to do is, Joe, what do you think of this? I'm going to get my big suitcase, right? The big one, and then I'm going to pack all my clothes in a smaller suitcase and then put it inside that suitcase and check it.
Suitcaseception?
So, yeah, and then it's just going to go under the plane. That way, when I get there, I have an entire extra suitcase where I can just fill it with DeLorean stuff. I thought that was pretty clever. So, I don't know. We'll see about that. All right, get back to, I was really surprised. James Merrillat. And I know it sounded like he was in the middle of something. He was somewhere in public, and he had people talking to him, and he was out doing James Merrillat things. But I just couldn't stand idly by and watch as he was trying to slip it in there now. He's completely changing his positions again. Now, all of a sudden, by the way, this is James Merrillat, who has said in the past, particularly when he's talking about the Colorado Rockies, I don't expect owners to lose money. And now he's flippantly saying, he's completely reversed positions, saying, the Nuggets just got a bad matchup. Which, by the way, is just, I almost can't say it now. It makes me want to laugh, like physically laugh. When sometimes you hear something and you get the giggles and you just can't stop laughing? I'm on the edge of that. For me, it's anytime I see Noah Eagle's hair on a broadcast and then I go and look at the comments online, like I start laughing uncontrollably. I'm almost doing that now. That's almost my physical reaction to James saying the Nuggets just got a bad matchup. That's all that's happened. Oh, the T-Wolves are a bad matchup, so it's excusable. Let's just run it back next year. Let's just overpay all these guys that got humiliated in the playoffs for no reason. Just pay them.
Let's run it back.
And he just thought he could say that.
Like, it was a bad matchup for sure, but the fact that a team without that many of its best stars can beat you and embarrass you that badly in a bad matchup, it exposed how bad the team was. Like, they should have still been able to win that series despite it being a bad matchup. We talked about it before the series that it was a bad matchup.
You and I did. Most people weren't saying that. James Merlad certainly wasn't saying that. But maybe it was a bad matchup before the series started. It was no longer a bad matchup. First off, the second Anthony Edwards went down, let alone the two other guys that went down. No, it was a bad matchup for the T-Wolves. All right, 1 hour down. We'll continue this conversation. And then, yes, something happened on the drive. You know, I had my popcorn ready for this. We'll get into that coming up next.
With their recent run of good play and the Nuggets and Avalanche being done, are the Rockies playing for something more than just wins and losses right now?
You've got, how many weeks before training camp? End of July? You've got almost 2 months now as a Rockies team to recapture the fascination of a sleeping giant when it comes to baseball.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Jacob's Law, 303 Law 4040, 303 Law 4040. You know, at times I've been known as the barbecue lawyer. Well, if you just heard that story last segment, yep, I was at it again. I'm in the hospital room talking to the client, get her all signed up, and then I'm bragging to her dad about my great barbecue. And she said, well, can you bring me some of that barbecue? And I did. I was happy to do it. It's the barbecue lawyer. Go call up one of those made-for-TV pretend lawyers and see if they're going to bring you any barbecue. And the answer is no, because you're never, ever going to get to talk to one of them. Because when you call a big made-for-TV lawyer, more often than not, you're getting a call center or a legal clerk or something overseas. You're not speaking directly with them. Now you're going to get AI is going to start answering the phone. Not when you call 303 Law 4040. You speak directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly, and we set up a time for you to come meet with us in person, and we give you our personal cell phone numbers if you sign up to be a client. 303 Law 4040. I hope you never need it, but just in case, save that number in your phone. You never know when an accident's going to happen, and you're going to want to have that number handy. It's 303 Law 4040.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to Xfinity's summer savings event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 15th, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included. No strings, no commitments, and get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected online from threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions applies, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, taxes and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply to Mobile Select. Xfinity Internet required, speeds vary, use of fiber, coaxial cable.
You know what you can trust? The protection you get when you bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive. You know what you can't trust? Everything else, apparently. Like when you saw that article that said that thing you eat every day is a superfood and great for your gut health. But then 30 seconds later, a different article warns you to avoid it and it's taking years off your life. Well, which is it? Kind of a big difference there. Anyway, bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive for reliable coverage in a reliably unreliable world. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, You'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
2026 is shaping up to be an amazing year to buy a home in Colorado. If you've been dreaming about getting into your first place, upgrading for more space, or downsizing for a simpler lifestyle, now is a smart time to start planning. And the first step is easy. Get pre-approved. With American Financing, you can get it done in 24 hours or less, so you'll know exactly what you can afford before you start shopping. Rates have been dropping, home prices are steady, and more homes are hitting the market. You could score the right home at the right price and lock in a monthly payment that fits your budget without stretching yourself thin. And unlike renting, every payment you make goes toward your future, not your landlord's. And here's a misconception that they love to bust. You don't need 20% down. Many buyers purchase with as little as 3% down. So if home ownership is on your 2026 goals list, make it happen. Call American Financing, 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at americanfinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
The legendary Zach By unicorn ribs. And then it's a picture of the McRib sandwich. This has all been good fun. Hopefully ZB can take a joke. Brian from Evans. Yeah, ZB, for the most part, is a good sport. I texted him. I was listening to the morning show yesterday. I couldn't believe this. The trivia stuff is pretty good. That's one of the better things that we do on the station. Because each show, the morning show and the afternoon drive show, they lay down and record trivia questions for the other show to answer. They get it played back, and then it's really good stuff. They play the, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music underneath, and then all the people on the show, including the guys behind the scenes, they come together to try and answer these questions. It's generally pretty darn entertaining segments. I'm listening yesterday, which, by the way, was one of the epic ones, because a couple things happened. One, I'm trying to think what the question was. Oh, yeah, it was something about draft picks with the Rams or whatever. And Ty threw out Todd Gurley and immediately was chastised by Mike Evans, called it a JV take, something like that. That's not the exact wording, but oh my God, that's a JV take. Just totally shoving Ty Fuji under the bus. And then guess what? The answer, they missed. They had everything correct except for they put in somebody else over Todd Gurley. So Ty was 100% right. And so Mike was like, all right, just go put that on the green, the big board of BS, lies and other nonsense. I'm putting myself up there. So that's the latest edition. Todd Gurley, that's a JV take, Ty. Yeah, so that's great. That happened. And then, though, the curveball question. John, I'm going to see if I can throw you a curveball right now. I want to see how long it takes you. Bring up Werewolves of London, the song. Are you familiar with this song? It's in the system. I want you to bring it up. Now, it's a little deceptive because I had to just give you the name of the song. But I want to see if you're out there in our listening audience, when we start to play this song, do you have a reaction to it? Is it kind of baked in to your DNA a little bit? And I want to know, and I want you to respond either on the Champ Honda YouTube chat line or the RamosLaw.com text line. No Googling, no looking things up. But we're going to play this song for you, and we're just going to let it, breathe for just a second or two. And I want you to soak it in and what comes to mind when that song plays. And then I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not going to give you the question just yet because I want to see how quickly the responses come in on the RamosLaw.com text line. Or, just for fun, log into the Shop Honda YouTube chat line. All right, we got this song here. You're under the gun here, John. Play me a little Werewolves of London.
Give me just a second. Let me skip this ad real quick.
Oh, my goodness. Skipping the YouTube ads. All right. It comes on, and immediately, what do you think? Because the curveball question that Zach By came up with to stop the morning show was, what is the name of this song and who sang it? Who's singing the song? If you are out there listening, and you know, I already gave you the name because I didn't tell John, but who sings this song? We'll probably get 100 texts. Now, Joe, my guess, I'm gonna put a little money here. I would guess Joe knows who sang the song, and probably if we played that song, he would have known the name of the song too. John, I'm not so sure. We're starting to work together. You already say no, you have no idea. But you are, what, 24, 26? What are you?
Thank you. 31, actually.
31 years old. So you should know a little more. You should know that song. That's I'm disappointed in you. You should feel much shame, John.
I know the title, not the artist.
Well, you know the title because I just told you. I said play the song. Of course you know the title. So what about you, Joe? Would you have known the name of that song?
Yes, but I was there when they were writing the question, so I did not know I mean, I've heard the name Warren Zevon, but I wouldn't have guessed that.
You would not have guessed Warren Zevon.
Nope.
My assumption is people listening to the morning show and probably listening to this show. So like this one said, I'm so old, I knew the song immediately when they played it for trivia. Somebody else said, Stink knew it right away. And then, yes, a bunch of you are saying Warren Zevon. Unbelievable. Well, first off, Joe, you were there while they were writing the question, so were you complicit in this? Did you say, yeah, that's a good one? That'll stump them. They'll never guess that. Like, what was your involvement in this process?
I kind of just giggled. Like, my input is not going to be valued one way or the other, I feel like, in trivia. So I just kind of giggled and went, sure.
Yeah. Talk about the easiest softball curveball question of all time. That wasn't a curveball. That was a softball. And so immediately I'm like, you can't. When it's Mike Evans, whose birthday was 2 or 3 days ago, I was teasing him. I said, was he 65? Yeah, he's not quite 60, but he's an older fella. Stokely, in fact, Stokely, I got the feeling Stokely didn't know who it was. Stokely's older than me, but still kind of a relatively young guy. But Stink knew right away. Like, those guys knew that right away. Like, in what universe is that a curveball question for the audience you're delivering it to? Absurd. And so immediately I texted Zach By. Had some fun with Zach By, and he was gracious. He just responded. He's like, thank you for the input, Daniel. And then I said, well, you could have just sent me a middle finger emoji because I know that's what you were thinking. And he was like, yeah, that's true. That's true. So, yeah, he's good. You can give Zach a hard time. For the most part, he's a pretty good sport on that. So, yeah, that was pretty funny. That was yesterday, right? That was pretty fresh. Yeah, that was yesterday. There was something else. I will tell you, I texted Zach on as we have another conversation later in the show. But one thing that did have us talking, by the way, I will go out to the Shop Honda YouTube chat line. Mel in Denver says the truly bad matchup is Avs versus Vegas, Dallas. Those are the only two teams the Avs can't beat in the playoffs. You get rid of an ineffective coach and replace him with somebody who's on his very own staff who sucked at his job? No, there's no way that works. Could not happen. But as we did hear this week, Bednar more than likely will be back with the Colorado Avalanche, which we're going to talk about. But as I mentioned, they were talking about it on the drive. And it's funny because as I listen to The Drive more and more, I get the sense that, remember there was a show called The Odd Couple? Probably none of you remember, right? It was even before Warren Zevon. And I gotta be honest with you. Other than I know it was it was like MASH. MASH to me was boring. When I was 8 or 9 years old, yes, it came on after like the news or whatever. I'm not watching some show about a war in Vietnam. I have no idea what it was about because I just changed it. As a young kid, I would watch Cheers, but I'm not going to watch MASH. I have no idea what they were doing. I'm sure. I realize now, I guess it was supposedly a funny comedy, but I have no idea what was going on MASH. James is older than me. That was right in his wheelhouse. I don't know any of these MASH characters. I know who Alan Alda is. That's about it, right? But, Cheers, that was in my wheelhouse. But, some of these shows, I don't know. Now I've completely lost my train. What show was I talking about that we were going back on before I lost my train of thought talking about James and MASH? But some of these shows, Odd Couple. Thank you, John. I see you're listening, which is good because you have to do a narrative for the website after that. Thank you, John. By the way, Joe, of no help. Joe just letting me die. I'm just drowning right here. Now I'm on camera. I'm drowning. Help me. I need a life raft. And Joe's just smiling.
I'm just back here laughing. We played the Odd Couple theme song a few months ago, and we were joking of like which songs should we have Terry Wickstrom write for The Drive.
Yeah.
So I absolutely knew it was the Odd Couple. I'm just laughing.
Yeah. So I'm just dying. Like, why am I talking about this? I have no idea. So anyway, The Odd Couple is because you listen to The Drive, and I never really watched The Odd Couple, but I'm familiar with the premise behind it, which was like these two old dudes. They were bachelors. I don't know if they were widowers or what, but they wound up, these two best friends. They were like an old married couple that just bickered all the time. And I'm all for this, by the way. I'm not there. This is not what we've now come to call a Zach By compliment, which is a backhanded compliment, right? It's like Zach's handing out all sorts of backhanded compliments these days. But this is not one of those. I love it. I'm all for it. But it seems, so we start this show, what is it, 3 years ago? Do we have 3 football seasons of The Drive with Philip Lindsay and Zach By? I think it's 2 or 3. Phil just retired. He's polite. He's figuring this radio thing out. He was a professional athlete. He's a Denver Bronco. And he's just getting his feet wet. Very polite. And Zach's doing all the talking. And everyone's, they've evolved. So for a while there, my favorite thing was what Phil was, like 90% of the time, his response would be, yeah, what about Zach Allen? Just smash, every day, just smash on Zach about Josh Allen. Josh Allen, not Zach Allen. Awesome. I loved it. But now he's getting into, he's almost getting a little Dan Jacobs in him, old Phil Lindsay, right? Like he's yelling for no reason, oftentimes. Now, and his natural response, which, by the way, is a pretty normal response to Zach By now. Zach By, that I've called the new Hollywood Hogan of the station. You kind of just want to yell at him. By the way, he's a yeller himself. I remember that time he and Cecil, I can't even remember what it was about. It's a famous thing, but he's arguing with Cecil, and he's just screaming at Cecil, and Cecil's like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you yelling? Can we not yell at each other? Some of us yell, Cecil. We're just yellers. But now Phil, his natural reaction, it's like an Odd Couple thing. They're getting into their groove, and Phil's just screaming at Zach. Which, by the way, if I could get paid to scream at Zach By for a living, sign me up. I would love to do it. But I'm listening to The Drive this week, and they're talking about Jared Bednar. I think they started out a little more polite earlier in the show, but eventually the conversation comes back around. This is like 4 or 5 minutes of just radio gold. Zach losing his mind, Philip Lindsay losing his mind over poor Jared Bednar. Here's a taste.
And so you've been okay with it, right? You've already kind of had in your head, Z, that Bednar was going to probably be back here.
I think I put it at 88%.
Yeah. The only thing that you have an issue with is the extension part, right? That Will brought up, the extension of maybe extending Jared Bednar to be the Colorado Avalanche coach for many years to come.
Yeah, I definitely would have an issue with that, 100%. And that's not just like I think you just attributed it to Will. That's not just a Will thing. I mean, there's a handful of people like, hey, let's extend Bednar. I just I think it's borderline funny to me that you could be in a cup or bust year.
Yeah.
You bust and nothing happens and the coach gets extended.
We don't know.
We
don't know
if that happens.
Yes.
If that happens, that would be wild to me, right? Like I that just does not compute. That you have Stanley Cup expectations, you fall flat on your face
because
in the Western Conference
we had
Finals.
This conversation.
You
we
weren't
had it
competitive,
yesterday.
and the coach is going to get extended, and everyone's like, "Yeah, extend him." Like,
well, maybe the players want him back.
Who cares what the players want?
Well, if Nathan McKinnon says he wants a coach, you're going to give him that coach. If Kale says he wants a coach and hasn't signed that contract,
I mean,
dude, you best believe they're going to keep that coach.
Just do a team survey then.
That's exactly what they probably did.
It's like voting for a captain. Who do you want your coach to be?
So if
the most comfortable thing to do is bring back Jared Bednar, and guess what this team needs? Some uncomfortability right now.
Well, you tell me this. What's going to change even if you bring in a new head coach? All right, I keep on saying
we don't know.
I don't believe it's going to be a head coach that had a bunch of experience. How Josh Kroenke, and you brought this up and you kind of laid it out a couple days ago, Z, where Josh Kroenke likes to go for his first year head coaches. He's doing it with the Denver Nuggets, and he's failing Jokic because of it. And we both can agree on that. Now we have a window that is still open with some of the greatest skaters or players to play in an Avalanche sweater, and you want to go with a first year
skaters. They are skaters. That was a good phrase. They are skaters.
All right.
You're right. They need dog. They need dog.
Well,
they rolled over and died with the season on the line. They rolled over and died.
A coach is going to just bring the dog. The coach doesn't have to play.
Phil, we
you
just
have
saw
to have
it.
it within.
Phil, we just saw it. We literally just experienced it.
What are you talking about with the Vegas Golden Knights?
Yes.
They already had dogs. They already had dogs. The coach
they
came
were
in and
acting like
listened
cats.
to them.
They were acting like
Yes,
cats.
but that's the
I saw dogs in 22. I saw it in 22.
All right, so why are they not bringing it back out? You want to blame Jared Bednar for that?
Tell me.
That's a crappy move.
Dude, you tell
blame
me.
the coach for those players not producing. Blame the coach for Val's ass
You want to
not
trade
showing
McKinnon?
up.
You want to trade
I'm
McKinnon?
not trading McKinnon, but I'm telling McKinnon, your ass is supposed to be one of the greatest players to play this game.
And you think
act like
you think Jared Bednar, with this comfortability and this relationship, you think Jared Bednar is going to
he
Nathan
has
McKinnon
no
and saying
choice
that?
because he has 1 year on his contract left. If he does not get it done and Nathan McKinnon and them don't get it done, it's a failure and his ass will be fired.
Okay, so you're at least with me. You can't extend him.
I want to extend him.
You want to extend him.
Yeah, if they don't extend him.
But you just said if you don't win it this year, then you're fired.
If that's where they're going to go in there,
why would you extend someone who has 1 year left on their contract?
Because
and if
he's
they
not
don't
going to
win
coach.
It,
he's not going to coach.
He is
if he
going to coach.
doesn't get some kind of
Phil. What do you think he's going to do?
He's going to say, "Hey, I need an extension. I have been producing.
And
all right, we won the president's. We won the president's trophy.
And Phil, here's your
he
answer.
Did that?
And here's your answer. No.
Okay. So then what?
We'll see you at training camp.
Okay, and what if he doesn't show up? You don't have a coach?
You think Jared Bednar is going to be a holdout?
Hold up, Z.
Show me the last NHL
Jared
holdout.
Bednar, Z.
Show me the last NHL holdout.
You don't.
Guess what?
That's
up to the Avalanche.
You don't think he is going to get a job?
Phil, he can't interview for a job. That's up to the Avalanche.
What, Z? Guess what? If somebody doesn't want to be there, you're not going to hold him captive.
Yeah, why?
Because if that person doesn't want to be there,
brother,
you're probably going to want to leave.
He is under contract. The Avs are in the driver's seat of this situation. He cannot speak to another team. Bruce Cassidy cannot speak. Bruce Cassidy got fired and they won't let him speak. You think Jared Bednar is going to be under contract and because he doesn't want to be here anymore, which he would coach, I guarantee you he would coach. Find me another example
he's gonna
of
coach.
an NHL
He's
coach
gonna
who
coach.
said,
You wanna know why,
I'm not going to coach.
Because they're going to extend him. It's Sakic. And Sakic right now is the general manager.
They may.
And
it would be a mistake.
Why?
Because it's been failure over and over again.
All right. That's enough. I got a little, even towards the end of that, I'm like, that's a lot for me. Because what happens a lot of times is, so you listen to something like that and you think they're really hot, upset with each other. Right?
I want to pound his ass.
They probably weren't. Maybe Phil was getting a little hot under the collar there towards the end. But there are certain people, I've used this analogy a lot. Like my family, we're arguers. That's how we communicate. That's how we show love, is to argue with each other. But my wife's family, no, they hate confrontation. They don't need anything like that. So I used to bring on D-Mac or James or some of these other personalities, and we just go at it. And we're yelling, and we're doing just like Zach and Phil did. And people are like, oh, my God. He's going to kill you or this or that. But like, no, it's all in good fun. We all love it. But even for me, so the stuff like that, I love this stuff. But even for me there towards the end, I got a little comfortable because they were just kind of screaming at each other. It is interesting, though, to see Phil's perspective on extending Bednar. This is one of those unique situations. You don't see this very often, and I don't think Bednar is going to get an extension. Phil, there was kind of a kernel of truth to what Phil was talking about, which is generally a coach is going to say, if you want me to be here, how am I going to have any influence over the team when they know I'm a lame duck coach? You got to commit something to me. Otherwise, I'll have no ability to influence players or to discipline players. Nobody's going to take me seriously because they know I'm a dead man walking. Generally, that's true. But in this scenario, I don't agree with bringing Bednar back. I think it's the height of, I guess, I hate to say it like this way because it sounds hyperbolic, but insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. But at least here, if you bring him back and don't give him the money, you're sending a message to everybody, which is if you guys don't win the cup, because there will be no other expectation for the Colorado Avalanche next year except for the cup. Getting to the Stanley Cup Finals and losing is not going to be enough. There is one measure that will show whether or not the Avalanche had a successful season next year, which is cup. They have to win the whole darn thing. And the message they're sending by not giving Jared Bednar the contract is, we love you. We think you're a good coach. We don't want to fire you. But this may just not work. And so if you can't win with the roster, and I think there's going to be changes. I don't think they're just going to run it back 100% the way it is. It would be silly. They need to do some sort of reflection as to why things went wrong with a team that against a team that the team itself didn't expect to be in the position to beat the Colorado Avalanche. We had on one of the beat writers for the Vegas Golden Knights the day of the closeout game. Or excuse me, no, it was the game 3. They were scared. They said, we didn't expect to be here. We still don't think this series is over. In fact, the Avalanche could lose tonight and go down 0-3. They're still the better team. They may still win the series. Like, this notion that James is floating, or I saw somebody on the YouTube Sean Ponda chat line floating this notion, well, bad matchup. Dude, you can't, if you're losing to these types of matchups, you're not a champion. You're just not. You're not a championship medal team. Just like the Broncos smashed all the regular season offensive records and they weren't a championship team. They got exposed. And you give John Elway credit. He remade the team into a defensive juggernaut, and they got one more championship for Payton Manning. So this notion that they're just going to run it back, I think there'll be some meaningful changes. Now, part of that self-reflection is, where did it fall short? Why does it happen to us like this every year? And that's why it's so hard to watch the way these teams, especially that last game in the Stanley Cup Finals. Okay, haymaker after haymaker, and one team goes down. You're like, well, they're left for dead, and they come back and take the lead. And then you think, oh, well, the other team's left for dead. That's a gut shot, and they get up from their gut shot, and then they win the game. Like, Colorado Avalanche don't have that in them. I did think it was funny when they're quoting Coach Prime, or Zach was quoting Coach Prime. They need dogs. They're playing like cats. I want dogs, not cats. No, they want hockey players. Yes, the Avalanche are great skaters. They need great hockey players. That's what they need. So it is a little mind-boggling to me that they would allow Jared Bednar just to run this back. And this conversation keeps coming up again and again. And I want to address it on the other side of the break. But this notion that, when are you going to hold the players accountable? And how do you hold the coach accountable? And Zach said it. Zach knows the scoop. But for some reason, Phil and other hosts on this station and apparently Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke and Joe Sakic, apparently they all can't figure this out. So I will give them the answer to the question coming up next.
You asked for it, you got it. Backed by popular demand, it's the Drives Brouhaha. Big social brouhaha. This summer, Zach and Phil are back on the road bringing their party to you. Next up, North Glen. June 12th from 2 to 6 at the Glen Bar and Grill. That was quite a brouhaha. Come find out what the commotion's all about. Head to DenverSports.com/drive for more details.
Guaranteed to bring the brouhaha.
Denver Sports 1043. The Fan.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com. DeerTrailMeatCo.com. My wife fired up the smoker, threw some ribs on about noon. I had to get up this morning. You take the membrane off. You get the seasoning, the rub on there. You let them chill and soak that up in the fridge for a little while. And then, of course, I'm doing the Dan Jacobs show. So I have my wife turn on the smoker, get it preheated, throw those ribs on. We're going to have some delicious family moments tonight. We got a birthday party for my youngest daughter, Flora. We got a little celebration for my sister. And the food just ties it all together because people remember the event because they remember how good the ribs were or the brisket or the steak, all that stuff. That's why it's so awesome to have Deer Trail Meat Co. be a part of your life. They allow you to afford that again. With steaks, $25 to $30 to $35 a pound, and hamburger $8 a pound at the grocery store. You can't afford to feed everybody steak. DeerTrailMeatCo.com. They will deliver it to your front door with a money-back guarantee at tremendous savings, up to 75% off what you pay at the grocery store. Check them out. DeerTrailMeatCo.com. That's DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
If you're practicing real estate in Denver but still not getting the results you want, listen up. Agents who are winning in this market aren't guessing. They've got the right training, the right systems, and the right support. And that's exactly what you get at Weichert Realtors Professionals. Proven strategies to win more listings, technology that keeps you connected anywhere, and coaching that actually helps you close. Take your business to the next level. Call Tim Davis at Weichert Realtors Professionals at 303-302-4000. Each Weichert franchised office is independently owned and operated.
Hey, Stoke here for ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Summer's coming in hot. Don't wait. Beat the rush with an early bird cooling system tune-up and inspection for only $49 from ROX Rocks Heating and Air. They'll inspect your system and keep you cool when everyone else is scrambling. Call Rocks Heating and Air today and schedule your tune-up before the end of June. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair, ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Who helps keep Colorado's wildlife wild? Our people do.
Hello, my name is Patricia. I've been with Chevron for over 17 years.
Her team uses GPS to track where mule deer and pronghorn roam throughout the seasons. This data helps us take their habitats into consideration when planning our operations.
When we created our comprehensive wildlife and conservation program, it was really about what was possible.
Learn more at colorado.chevron.com.
For 90 years, Belco Credit Union has proudly called Colorado home. That's thanks to all our members who have helped us grow alongside our beautiful state. To celebrate our anniversary, Belco is offering a special low fixed rate on a new home equity choice line advance. If you've been waiting to start a new home renovation project, now's the perfect time. Go to belco.org/90 years to see full offer details. Equal housing opportunity lender. Membership eligibility required. All loans subject to approval. Belco, banking for everyone.
What's going on, everybody? Philip Lindsay here. Denver's recent hailstorm hit hard. Golf ball size hail damaged shingles, cracked siding, dented gutters. You might not see it from the ground, but your roof took a beating. And I don't want you to wait around for a leak to find out. Call Monarch Construction and Roofing today for your free no-obligation storm damage inspection. Monarch works directly with your insurance company, so you don't have to. Monarch Construction and Roofing, your local Denver storm damage experts. Visit monarchroofing.com to schedule your appointment today. Monarch Roofing is your official roofer of the Denver Broncos.
Calling all food enthusiasts. Join Cresco Restaurant Equipment and Supply Company for their 4-day expo sale from June 10th to 13th in Aurora. Enjoy incredible discounts with top quality restaurant equipment and supplies. Meet factory reps, dive into their huge product selection, and enjoy free food and giveaways. Don't miss out. Visit them at 751 Billings Street and search for Cresco Denver Expo for details. Cresco, your local culinary headquarters.
jump on YouTube. Just go to Denver Sports. Just check us out for a few minutes. That way, we're trying to build up the audience. Let the station management know that you care about the Dan Jacobs Show. One of the ways they know that is if you log on to our new YouTube thing. That's their big thing. They're building it up. And even old people like me, like we do YouTube. I don't do TikTok. A lot of people on Instagram. My wife's always trying to get me to do Instagram, stuff like that. I do Facebook, little tiny bit of Twitter, but I'll do some YouTube. I will do some YouTube. So anyway, it doesn't matter how old you are. This isn't a newfangled thing. Just get on there. YouTube, DenverSports.com. In fact, on the Champ Honda YouTube chat line, Mel in Denver writes, Dan, I listened to that Zach and Phil show. It was awesome radio. The whole show was. Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. In fact, I had to text in Zach because they were talking about something we're going to talk about at the top of the hour, which is Evan Ingram. But I'm like, you guys are forgetting something. And I normally have to restrain myself because, Zach's cool, good dude. We text quite a bit, but I try not to overwhelm him because everybody's texting Zach. I'm trying not to be that guy. But I was like, I have to do it. They're missing it. I feel like I'm coaching them up. Because so many of the hosts on the show, it's obvious they've learned a lot from listening to the Dan Jacobs Show over the last, by the way, 8 years. It's our not quite 8-year anniversary of the Dan Jacobs Show, but I was looking at our YouTube memory or Facebook memories, and it says, this was 8 years ago or whatever. And my return to the Fan was about 8 years ago. And then later, so what happened was they hired me up as the filling guy. And then in fact, I remember one of these conversations because it was the memory that popped up. They said, Dan, you're working with Stokely today. It's OTAs. Why don't you go out there and take in practice, and then that way you have something to talk about on the show. So I did. I went out there and watched, and I came back. And this is, got to remember, this was during the Vance Joseph era. This was when they were terrible and things were not going well. This morning I decided we're going to call them the dark times in Broncos history because they pretty much are the darkest times this organization has known in most of our lifetimes. I'm not talking about in the 60s when they first started. I'm talking about once they actually became the Broncos. We had almost a decade there where it was just dark. It was just bad. It was the trust. It was the second half of John Elway's stewardship and Joe Ellis's stewardship. And it was bad. It was the dark times. And I go out there, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And Stokely and I sit down, and Stokely says, yeah, I thought that was great. Great practice. Everything's looking good. They're going to be really good this year. I said, what? He goes, you didn't think so? I said, no, it looked like Dove Valley Country Club. They were very soft. There was nothing out there that impressed me. And by the way, you're making a bunch of assumptions, and I got into it with them. And eventually they said, Dan, you and the ex-athletes, why don't we give you the Dan Jacobs Show on the weekend, and you could talk to yourself all you want. So that was probably about 7 years ago. So 8 years ago, I got back here on the station. Grateful for every minute of it. Thank you to station management for bringing us back on. Love it.
We're back.
But yeah, so the Facebook memories and all that stuff. 8-year anniversary. What were you doing 8 years ago, John Sanchez? 23 years old you were. Your mic is not on.
Sorry, I turned on Joe's. I was still probably just working at a roof supply warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So out to the RamosLaw.com text line. Zach is the king of I'll never tell a fan how to fan, then immediately telling a fan how to fan. He's always got drama. Yeah, we talked about that a few weeks ago on the show. He says that a lot, which to me, it doesn't make any sense. I'll never tell a fan how to fan. Absolutely, you can tell a fan how to fan. What do you mean? Of course you tell a fan how to fan. If they're doing it wrong, you'd be doing a disservice to not correct them.
It's literally impossible.
There are all sorts of things that you can tell a fan not to fan about. Now, trivial things like, all right, so what if they're John and Joe, is Joe gone? Okay. What if their etiquette is wrong during the game? So, for example, for example, Sean Payton, the nice, charming guy that Sean Payton is, He knew we were doing it wrong. We were fanning wrong as Denver Broncos fans. We weren't cheering at the right times. And Sean Payton, several times last year, said, I'm going to tell you fans how to fan because this would be more helpful for us. We want you to get up and get loud and cheer during this time in the game. Now, is that bad for Sean Payton to do? Some people, it ruffled their feathers. I think it's perfectly fine. And guess what? The fans responded, and they did it. Now, if drunken fan is trying to fight everybody or spew obscenities around children, I will tell him how to fan. I will say, hey, no bueno, and if necessary, well, he can go be a fan somewhere else. If you're going to be a Jets fan, I'm going to tell you to not be a Jets fan because you need to know how to fan, and that's a bad idea. Or a Browns fan, or, I don't know, maybe now an Indiana Bears fan. Like, there's certain fan bases that just need the help. But yeah, you can tell a fan how to fan. There's no reason you can't tell a fan how to fan. But I like this texter says, yeah, well, Zach says that and then immediately tells the fan how to fan. Hey, Judge Dan, on a day when Big Head Todd and the Monsters are playing at Red Rocks, you should play their version of Brandy when you open up. It's amazing. Thanks. That's from Deer Trail Daryl. John, can we make that happen at the top of the hour?
Yeah, most definitely.
Big Head Todd and the Monsters version of Brandy?
Big Head Todd and the Monsters. I'll put that down on my notes.
Yeah. Out to the RamosLaw.com text line. I fully still believe Bednar is not safe. The Avs are waiting for the finals to end and then the Cassidy situation to shake out. The Bruce Cassidy situation, which you heard Zach allude to, is fascinating. I did a little digging on it because the lawyer in me says that's not going to stand up. What the Vegas Golden Knights are doing is they have a coach under contract, Bruce Cassidy. And they're essentially saying there's a non-compete clause, right? He's under contract. So they fired him. They said, you're no longer welcome here. But we're going to pay you. And so we're going to pay you and nobody else. So other teams are like, oh, he's a great coach. We want him. And they're saying, nope, we're not going to allow him to work for anybody else. We'll just pay him. We promise to pay him. No harm, no foul. That's it. And what I don't know a ton about, they're common actually in radio too. They're called non-compete clauses. But we did learn about them a little bit in law school, which is this. So you work for somebody, they don't want you stealing their clients or their information. They've built you up, they've trained you. You know intimate things about their company, and it would harm their company. Just you leaving them and going into the marketplace and being able to offer your skills to the same clientele would damage them. And so oftentimes there are what are called non-compete clauses that say, hey, even after your contract's up, you still can't work for, usually it's 6 months. And there's always been this idea that they're not legal. I'll just give you an example. When I was a full-time employee here, I got interviewed to go run another radio station. There was an upstart sports station in town, and they called me up. We interviewed, and they were going to offer me a job. And I said, well, I do have a non-compete, so we would have to deal with that, which just meant we would have to come up with a title that was different than the one that was in my non-compete. Not a big deal. And they said, yeah, by the way, our position is non-competes are not valid. They're not legal. I said, oh, that's great. But guess what they put in the contract when they offered me a contract? A non-compete clause. And I said, well, I thought you said these things were no good. Yeah, but it's just our policy. We put them in there. So the thing with non-compete clauses are, in certain circumstances, they can be legal, but they have to be limited in at least 2 areas. Otherwise, the courts generally will strike them down. One, they have to be limited in scope and duration. So you can't have like a 5-year non-compete clause. Even a year, I think, is about the limits of it. Courts would much rather see 6 months or less. Also, geography. It's got to be within the market or whatever. So what the Vegas Golden Knights are essentially saying is you can't be an NHL hockey coach anywhere in the world, not just in Las Vegas. I don't think judges would deal kindly with that. And the other thing is they can't stop you from working. That's why courts do not favor non-compete clauses, because they want the worker to be able to work. They want everybody to have the ability to work. And so if your non-compete is just going to say you can't do anything, that's why they can't be too broad. The court's not going to allow that. So with the Vegas Golden Knights saying, nope, we're just going to pay you and you can't work at all, I think if Cassidy pushed that would get struck down. But right now, everybody's still playing the game. Everybody's like, we're part of the same Good Old Boys network, and we'll see how this shakes out. We'll see what their asking price is, because they'll ask the next team for some compensation. The Golden Knights will. We'll see how that works out. But I will address this, whether Bednar is truly safe, yes or no. We'll get to that coming up next.
Is it just sack by? Or does it seem like people are always trying to make excuses as to why the Avalanche fell short of another Stanley Cup?
But here's the thing. It's like, before this, it was, it's just Dallas.
Yeah.
It's like, I get that on social media. Hey, they ran into a buzzsaw. Get over it. Well, last year was a buzzsaw against Dallas.
Uh-huh.
The year before, it was just another buzzsaw against Dallas. The year before, it was a first-round upset to the Kraken. It's like, it's always something.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Jacob's Law, 303-LAW-4040. 303-LAW-4040. I'm proud. You may have heard this ad running during the week, but I'm just proud of it. We had a guy, and actually he was a referral, and he said, Dan, he just doesn't know. It's a small town. He doesn't want to, the gossip circles to be talking about how he's going after his neighbor and stuff like that. He's really nervous about hiring a lawyer. And I talked to the guy, and he says, Dave, I'm not looking at suing my neighbor. I have to hold my head up in this town. I said, don't worry about that. What we're going to do is we're going to force the insurance companies to do what they said they were going to do when they sold you the insurance, which is pay if there's a catastrophic injury or there's an injury. This was a pretty serious injury, but the guy still was like, if it means I have to go after my neighbor, I'll just deal with it. Well, he trusted us at 303-LAW-4040, and we were able to get him $1.5 million. And we didn't have to sue his neighbor. He can still hold his head up high. We were just there to help. We'll be there. We'll do the same for you. Can't guarantee an outcome. Can't guarantee $1.5 million. But we will fight hard for you. We'll deal with the insurance company so you can focus on healing. Save that number in your phone. I hope you never need it, but you never know. It's 303-LAW-4040. That's 303-LAW-4040.
Progressive knows it ain't easy navigating the open plains of home insurance, but there is one man who can help tame that wild herd of options. The Home Quote Explorer.
Note, Progressive's Home Quote Explorer is not a real person, but an online tool that lets you compare home insurance.
He's the type of fella who helps you decide on the right insurance, even if it ain't with him.
Again, not a person, just an online tool that helps you find great home coverage.
A real pioneer.
Okay, fine. Just do the thing. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
SodaDietAndNutrition.com. It's where you need to go, or call them up, 866-800-SODA. Cecil Lammy here, and 5 years ago I lost 60 pounds with soda, and I'm never going back, never gaining the weight back. Why? Because I learned how to eat, what to eat, and when to eat, and I had a real nutritionist available to me via text whenever I had questions, concerns, or just straight up needed that encouragement. Looking and feeling 10 years younger, you want the same thing? SodaDietAndNutrition.com, 866-800-SODA, because soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Walmart is proud to sponsor the Be a Mentor, Be a Fan football camp in partnership with 104.3 The Fan. Walmart is helping to invest in the next generation by bringing together Broncos alumni on-air hosts and South High School football coaches for a one-of-a-kind camp experience, benefiting Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Colorado, because every young person deserves encouragement, guidance, and the chance to reach their full potential. Walmart proudly supports Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Colorado and their mission to build life-changing mentoring relationships for kids across our community.
Every hunt tells a story. Let Ties Taxidermy in Loveland bring yours back to life. Big game, birds, fish skin mounts, and reproduction. Expert detail since 2001. Call 970-669-1119 or visit TiesTaxidermy.com.
Stoke here for ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Are you in the market for a new air conditioner? Well, hold on. You need to think about a heat pump. It cools and heats your home. My team at ROX are Colorado's heat pump experts and rebate specialists. Get up to $12,000 in energy rebates and credits. These savings are incredible, but they're only available for a limited time. Only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX rocks heating and air.
Flatland Cavalry.
Knowing that you're never coming back.
Shane Smith and the Saints.
I ever see is you.
Fiddler's Green Amphitheater, Saturday, June 20th. Get your tickets now at AXS.com.
It's the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
Final segment of this hour of the Dan Jacobs Show. Probably shouldn't touch this one, but I'll touch it just for fun. On the Shop Honda YouTube chat, Dan, is it ever awkward for Dan Jacobs of 303 Law 4040 to constantly promote the RamosLaw.com text line? People actually get that a lot. No, it doesn't bother me at all. We're not Ramos Law. We're not Azar. We're not Backus and Schenker. We are a small family-owned firm. It's me and my wife, and we have a few employees, and we have a team, and we just do different things, man. Like, Ramos loves the show, by the way. There's a very nice man that's one of the bigwigs over there. He loves the show. He's very nice. We get together every once in a while. We're just different. And in fact, if you're on YouTube, you're watching us on YouTube, here's a good example. There's a video you can search out Dr. Ramos did because he took some heat for, do you remember, was it about a month ago or a month or two ago? There was a guy, some lunatic, jumped the fence at DIA and ran and did like suicide via jet engine, right? And went and jumped into the jet engine and killed himself. And turned it, obviously, not a very good experience for anybody that was on that plane, I'm sure. But Ramos, by the way, I think he's a pilot, and he's looking to expand his aviation law practice and things like that. I don't do any aviation law, but they're just philosophies. So there's a video you can see Ramos. It's about a 10 or 11 minute video. I watched it this week because I wanted to see because people were asking me. I went to lunch with a buddy. He's like, "Can you believe Ramos is suing because of that guy?" And I'm like, "Well, I could know." He says, "What? How can that be? Nobody did anything wrong." And I said, well, I could see where a lawyer would say somebody did something wrong, and this would be the theory under which you would sue. I would never take that case. It's just ethically, and I'm not saying that Joe's unethical. You watch the video. Joe has his reasons why. Joe believes, because what they're doing is they're suing the airport on behalf, I assume, of the people that were on the plane, right? They had to go through some trauma because this knucklehead got through. Well, they're suing the airport, saying the airport should have had better safety standards, things like that. And plus, he got loose. They knew for a few minutes this guy was running around out there. They should have stopped it, whatever. So you can watch the video of Joe talking about why he believes in a case like that. And you can hear me talk about why I would not take a case like that, because I don't think as overall that benefits society. But we're just different. I have nothing. I don't begrudge. I'll say RamosLaw.com text line all day long. I encourage you to use it right now. The 303-713-1043, the RamosLaw.com text line. So there's no hard feelings between these law firms. I don't know most of these big made-for-TV lawyers because a lot of them don't live here. You heard me say my latest ad. By the way, did anybody catch that? In my new ad, I go, New York City. We're talking about things earlier in the show about like The Odd Couple and MASH. Do you know what that is a reference to, John? I'll ask you. You're 31 years old. When somebody says New York City, do you have any idea what that's in reference to?
None whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, Joe, where's Joe? Joe, put your headphones on. If we say, like I do in the latest 303 Law 4040 ad, New York City, does that mean anything to you?
No, not at all.
Okay, so there was an old El Paso salsa ad, and that was their thing. They looked at the ingredients. They're like, these chilies aren't from New Mexico.
These ain't from around these ports.
Yeah, it was old El Paso or paste chili or whatever, and they look at the ingredients and where they're from. They're like, New York City! And they all freak out. That's what I'm doing in my latest ad, because literally one of the big made-for-TV lawyers, I'm not going to use his name, but you would be shocked because this guy's been around here forever. He used to be with another firm. He flies in he cashed out. He sold the firm. He just keeps his name on it so he can keep the checks coming in, and he flies in, he does his commercials, and he goes back to New York City. So I don't know these guys. I know that you'll never know them either. If you call those numbers, you'll never meet them or anything like that. So there's no hard feelings. Okay, so it's all good on that. Yeah, see, somebody said right away, salsa. Derek Murphy, our buddy over at Parallax Auto, says, get a rope. Yep, that was part of the ads. Get a rope, string them up. They're trying to serve that stuff there. Yeah, somebody says paste, picante sauce. Yeah, see, our audience knows. John, you got some catching up to do. That's all.
I got some homework to do for sure.
Yeah, maybe watch. I was looking into watching Stranger Things because I hear that's a great nostalgia show for guys like me that grew up in the 80s. Apparently, that's a really cool show because they've done it in a clever way, such a way that it brings you back in time, but it's not the whole focal point of the show, but you get to see things from the 80s. It's pretty cool. All right, so back to this Bednar thing as we round out this hour. I don't believe it's 100%, like a texter was saying, that Bednar's back. We still got some things that got to shake out. Now, the reporting this week was, and I think Adrian Dater was the first one on it, and then somebody else came out with it, but the feeling is that right now, but things can change, is that Bednar's safe and that they can just bring him back. Until they say it, I won't 100% believe it. Unless, they start doing like drills and camps and he's the coach, then he's the coach. Then I wouldn't believe it. The difficult part with that, though, is I thought, well, maybe they bring him back. He's got no contract. And if the team doesn't respond, then you can fire him. But I think it was James that brought it up to me last week. He's like, how are you going to know? His teams do respond during the regular season. His failures are playoff failures. So if he's not the right man for the job, we probably won't find out about it during the regular season next year. And so you can't fire him and bring in John Tortorella or Bruce Cassidy or bring in that savvy, wily coach. The time to do it would be now. It's just strange because it's unprecedented, and you continue to hear people. In fact, Zach does a great job in the promo that ran in the last break. He goes, dude, it's every year. Somebody on the text line was like, well, the matchup is just bad. The Wild and the Knights are just bad matchups for the Avs. What about the Kraken? Every year it's something. The Kraken were an expansion team, and they beat the Avalanche. It's always something. And it's the same thing with the Nuggets. If you can't win a Stanley Cup with this team, what team is Jared Bednar going to win it with? And if the Nuggets can't get out of the first round against a team, I'm not buying this. James threw a kind of a curveball at us this week, saying, it was just a bad matchup. Dude, that is borderline sports talk radio misconduct to float an asinine conspiracy like that. It's damaging. I don't care if the full-strength T-Wolves would have been a bad matchup for the Nuggets. The Nuggets were, from a salary perspective, a super team playing a lower-rated seed that lost their best player, who's one of the best 10 players in the game, and then lost the two guys behind him that should have stepped up and filled in for him. It's unexcusable, and there have to be changes. And James is like, you should have fired the coach, but since you didn't do that, just run it back. And he had no answer when he said, what, is he going to get better with the worst team? Well, he was better. Adelman did better with the worst team the year before. And now, even I, one of Kroenke's staunchest critics, is not going to criticize and say, well, Stan just has to pay $100 million or $200 million just to eat it. No, not for a team that got humiliated. That has no heart. No, thank you. All right, coming up next, this was a big topic on the station this week, and it had me thinking, is Evan Ingram the new Jerry Jeudy in this town? We'll get into that coming up next.
Parents, looking for a fun way to get your kid active this summer?
Are you kidding me?
Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan's third annual Be a Mentor, Be a Fan Youth Football Camp is back. Brought to you by Walmart. Saturday, June 27th at Denver South High School's All-City Stadium. Your child, ages 8 to 14, will learn the fundamentals of football in a safe, hands-on environment from people who played the game at the highest level. We're talking former Denver Broncos Mark Schlereth, Philip Lindsay, and Brandon Stokely, along with a trusted coaching staff from Denver South. And every dollar raised goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Colorado. So your family is giving back just by showing up. Sign up today at DenverSports.com/camp. That's DenverSports.com/camp.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com. DeerTrailMeatCo.com. I'm excited. We got some ribs. My wife threw some ribs on the smoker about an hour ago. I'm going to get home. I'm going to wrap those. I'm going to do the special thing where you do with the brown sugar, and I have the special honey pineapple spread, sauce type thing that I'm going to put on there with the honey and all that stuff, and the liquid butter and the apple juice, and we're going to wrap those things up, and they're going to be delicious. Also got some smoked tenderloin I'm going to throw on the grill. We're going to have a fantastic night, have some family over. We're going to celebrate. We're going to tell some stories, and it's going to be a night to remember, and that's because the food will be so great people won't be able to forget. You can have this in your life. You just go to DeerTrailMeatCo.com. You select your bundle anywhere from an eighth of a cow all the way up to a full cow, and they're going to deliver that to your front door with a money-back guarantee at a tremendous savings over the grocery store and even the big box store, the warehouse stores. So you'll thank me for it. Go to DeerTrailMeatCo.com. That's DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
It's no secret that the checkout line feels a lot heavier. If those daily essentials are ending up on a credit card, those double-digit interest rates are quietly draining your bank account. If that debt is starting to feel heavy, you're not alone. And if you're a homeowner, you've likely looked at your mortgage rate and thought, I can't touch that. With American Financing's Smart Equity Loan, you don't have to. It allows you to wipe out high-interest debt and lower your monthly overhead while keeping your primary mortgage intact. It's a surgical strike against debt. Unlike a fluctuating HELOC, the Smart Equity Loan is a fixed-rate loan, giving you a predictable monthly payment. At American Financing, there are never any upfront fees to find out what you qualify for. Guys, talk to a salary-based mortgage consultant today. Experts who are paid to help you save, not sell you more than you need. So call them at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
We're living through a monetary crime scene, and your IRA or 401k is a key victim. Hi, Dr. Ron Paul here. In 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. After the dollar was cut loose from it, inflation soared. And in just 9 years, gold hit $850. People who diversified into precious metals survived and thrived. Today, we're in a worse position because we face inflation and massive debt. Fortunately, gold is still an option. My trusted friends at Birch Gold Group can help you own gold inside your retirement account. Plus, you pay zero penalties on the transfer. Start now by getting a free info kit on gold. Text the word SECURE to 989898. We're facing the same monetary chaos as the 70s with significantly more debt. Get your free info kit from Birch Gold. Just text SECURE to the number 989898.
In the playoffs, games are won and lost in overtime, where the pressure is at its highest. In your facility, overtime starts the moment the power goes down. That's when experience makes the difference. For over 40 years, Piper Electric has delivered expert electrical construction, service, and maintenance, including fire alarms and large-scale power distribution. Their licensed electricians are built for high-pressure situations and complex projects. Starting something new? Make the call that keeps you out of overtime. Include Piper Electric. Visit piperelectric.com.
Your windows are calling. They have something to say.
Here's the truth. The window's only part of it. In Colorado, even a great window can fail if it's not installed right. That's what really determines what lasts. That's why I trust Gravina's Window Center of Littleton. Installation is where the conversation starts. They've served Denver and the Front Range for over 50 years, and right now, get 25% off Infinity by Marvin Windows. Visit windowsforyourhome.com. That's windowsforyourhome.com.
Switching your account numbers is hard. Being forced to switch, even worse. That's why at Belco Credit Union, we want to pay you to switch. From June 1st to August 31st, we're offering a $300 bonus when you open a new checking account with a qualifying direct deposit of $500 or more. They're changing your account number. You can change who you bank with. Go to belco.org/switch for full offer details. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required. Conditions and restrictions apply. Belco. Banking for everyone.
What's going on, everybody? Philip Lindsay here. Denver's recent hailstorm hit hard. Golf ball size hail damaged shingles, cracked siding, dented gutters. You might not see it from the ground, but your roof took a beating. And I don't want you to wait around for a leak to find out. Call Monarch Construction and Roofing today for your free no-obligation storm damage inspection. Monarch works directly with your insurance company, so you don't have to. Monarch Construction and Roofing, your local Denver storm damage experts. Visit monarchroofing.com to schedule your appointment today. Monarch Roofing is your official roofer of the Denver Broncos.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan presents the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs.
So this is it? Big Head Todd and the Monsters over there. What do you think, Joe? What do you think? I like the original. Way better.
It's one of those covers that doesn't change the song enough for me to justify the cover, you know?
Yeah. If you're not better or different in some way, then no. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Like if I was at a Big Head Todd show, I'd be like, oh, cool, they played Brandy.
Yeah. All right, so real quick, just to finish up this, then I want to get into this Broncos conversation. Mel in Denver writes on the Champ Honda YouTube chat, but Dan, isn't it written directly into Cassidy's contract that he can't seek employment anywhere else? Well, it may be, but that's what I was talking about. Courts, you can't just put anything you want into a contract. For example, you can't enter a contract with somebody that says, hey, Joe Goodwin, I'm going to hire you. I'm going to pay you $50 million, and you're going to kill these 10 people off my hit list.
Deal.
It's in the contract, but that's not going to fly. That's not legal. You can't do that, right? Here's an interesting one from law school. And don't flip out, because I'm not saying one way or the other. This is not political.
I'm freaking out, man.
In fact, this was before he was a politician. But one of the case studies you learn about in law school is, so Donald Trump had a prenuptial agreement with Marla Maples, and it was structured in such a way that it actually encouraged him to get divorced. Like he had a financial incentive that if he divorced her, then he would come out better financially than if he divorced her by a certain time in the marriage, something like that. And so it's in there, and it was a prenup that was signed by both parties, but the court said, we don't want to allow a policy or a contract that would encourage divorce, because as a society or as a court system, we don't want to do that. So we're not going to allow that. We're seeing similar things with, it used to be rich people could just shut you up by having you sign a non-disclosure agreement, and they would buy your silence. And those are really kind of in the legal community under a hot topic now, because certain states and courts are not making them wholly illegal, but striking down large parts of those where they take out a lot of their teeth. So it may be in Bruce Cassidy's contract, and Cassidy may not challenge it. I think they all work it out, because like what happens in radio is nobody ever wants to be the first to really challenge it, because you never know what's going to result. Like when you go to court, rarely do you get results that even one side's 100% happy with, which is why, for example, even after they strike, even though I think as a lawyer, I think the players, was it the last one? The last time they had a really contentious labor agreement, they were getting all these favorable rulings from the court. I would have gone all the way with it. Just go. They were handing loss after loss to the NFL owners, and they had a chance to really change the system, because right now it's pretty much one of the few major sports that really, really dramatically favors the owners. And they could change that. But no, and I believe what they traded it for was, we don't want to have to do 2-a-day practices, or we don't want to have to do so many OTAs. And they traded quality of life issues in the workplace for money. But they do that because, you never know. They could get a result that we don't like. But the players were so far at a disadvantage. I would, if I was advising them, I'd take a hard look at, hey, why don't we just do it? Let's just see what the courts say once. And then see. But they never do it. They never, even when they have, quote, hand, they don't do it. And that's probably what's going on here. It's all the good old boys saying, all right, we're going to let Vegas play hardball for a little while, and then whoever, eventually we're going to let Bruce Cassidy work, but the other team will have to give up some compensation. Like, remember the Broncos had, what was it, a first-round pick they gave up for Sean Payton?
Yeah, first-round pick.
Yeah, they had to give up a first-round pick for Sean Payton. So, but they all worked it out. And that's probably what will happen with Bruce Cassidy. But Bruce Cassidy, from a legal perspective, I think he has a very, very strong argument. All right, I want to touch base on this. They were talking about it on the station earlier this week. And it started with this. I'll toss to this clip where they're like, okay, we know Waddle and Sutton are going to be the two main guys, but what happens after that? And this was part of that conversation.
And I think that Waddle's going to have a good year. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to have a good year. Does that mean 1,200 yards? I don't know. I would say probably not. But because you still have Sutton there in the building. But you can already see it in practice number 1, the gravitational pull of Jalen Waddle and the attention that people have to pay to Jalen Waddle. It's going to open stuff up, yes, for Sutton. But whoever wins that third wide receiver job, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, one of those probably two guys.
You still got to put Mims in there. Don't disrespect my man like that.
Not trying to disrespect him, but I just think it's going to come down between one of those two guys at the end of the day. Maybe I'm wrong, and I would welcome it if I was, because we've been waiting for Mims to really take off for a handful of years now. But whoever wins that third receiver job and is getting most of those reps, man, they're going to have ample opportunity to make gashes on game day.
They're going to eat, Z. They're going to eat. Look at you, man. You're a football guy now. You're right. Because now all the attention has to go on Courtland Sutton and Jalen Waddle. If you're doubling on Waddle and having your star corner on court, who's going to be dealing with the number 3 receiver? A linebacker? A safety that can't cover? So Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, or Marvin Mims, they're going to have a field day. All right, so it's going to be a battle throughout camp, not OTAs. All right, this is the time for you to get your foot, and this is the time for you to get the plays down. But once camp comes rolling around, who is going to be that number 3 receiver? Is it Troy? Is it Pat Bryant? Are they going to keep Marvin Mims? No matter who is that number 3 receiver, they're going to eat this year, Z.
All right, so they were talking about what you would normally think about, the third guy, but they were keeping it narrowly focused to the wide receiver. What we're really talking about is who's going to be the third option, the third weapon. Right. And the morning show, I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting this. They took it a completely different direction.
So Davis Webb, then, the thing he can do differently than what Sean did is what I'm hearing is basically don't play Evan Ingram as a tight end, or at least certainly not
use him
the
a little,
tight end. Play him more as the F tight. Play him as a wide receiver.
Play a little bit more. Play a little bit
more
more
as a receiver.
Two tight ends and use the two tight ends like it's 11, like it's a 11 plus. So you're like. Evan Ingram all of a sudden is you're in two tight ends, but you're playing out of 11. You're playing out of 3 wide receiver plays, even though you're using 2 tight ends, and then block with Troutman and get Evan Ingram out in the routes.
Yeah, just make him more of a primary guy. And, to Mark's point, anytime that you're chipping, you're staying in, you're helping these tackles out.
You're not primary.
Right. You're delayed getting out into the pass pattern, so there's only so much that you can do. So highlight him a little bit more, let him have a little bit more freedom, and open it up a little bit more for him. And then I think you will see, closer to what you were hoping to see, Evans, from him last year.
All right, so they also, earlier in that conversation, were talking about, well, they think Evan Ingram will be the guy, the third guy. He'll be the guy more than Franklin, more than Mims, more than Pat Bryant, more than Lil Jordan Humphrey. Evan Ingram, I'm like, this reminds me exactly of Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy got drafted. Nobody did any homework. They didn't know this guy was a drop machine. And they just listened to the headlines, and they'd go out to camp, and or OTAs, like, oh, my God, he's the best ever. D-Mac was talking about top 3 wide receiver, Jerry Rice, all this stuff. And then he came out and meh. And everyone was disappointed.
Did you see him running routes in the sand, Dan? It was
I know,
beautiful.
running routes, great routes. And so we knew after 1 year the guy had a problem. But then they got drunk off him again. And they did it every year. Jerry Jeudy would have a disappointing season, and they would keep coming back and saying, oh, Jerry Jeudy this, Jerry Jeudy that. And eventually they just had to trade him. Evan Ingram, supremely disappointed. Although we talked about earlier in the offseason, I don't know why. He did basically what he does. He's had a couple outlier seasons where he did better than he did last year, but that's basically not who he is. And now they're like, oh, Evan Ingram, because Davis Webb, you've never seen Davis Webb call an offense. You have no idea what he's going to do. And also, in fact, I was talking earlier in the show about, I actually had to text Zach. They were talking about Evan Ingram also, and Zach eventually got to it, but I'm like, guys, he was third in the league in drops, third or fourth in the league in drops. Him and Cortland were fourth in the league in drops. You're acting like, oh, it was just a bad circumstance, like he dropped the ball. But now in his 10th year in the league or 11th year, whatever it's going to be, he's just going to change his spots and become something different. He's going to become better again? Oh, come on.
His ceiling is established.
He's Jerry Jeudy in the media. He's just a media darling everybody falls in love with. Hey, by the way, speaking of media darlings, a subdued James Merilatt joined us several hours ago, and he tried to keep slipping in these controversial statements. So for those of you that weren't listening at the time, here it is.
These people are all bleeped in the head.
All right, we like to do this every week. It's the best part of your week. It's James Merilatt, brought to you by the Birdie Bar in Louisville, the premier indoor golf bar in downtown Louisville, locally owned and operated. Find them at birdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Welcome to the program. James Merilatt, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's just go ahead and transition quickly into the conversation that I was just talking about, because you wrote an article for DenverSports.com talking about watching the games and saying, all right, I guess the Nuggets, we all had this pipe dream that they were going to be championship contenders, but looking at these two teams, they never really were in it. I was also just saying, though, before you came on, this is also an era where if you were going to have a dynasty because you had the best player in the sport for a half decade, this would have been the time to do it because you didn't have other dynasties hanging around. But as it turns out, if we go to DenverSports.com, you had some thoughts about, well, whether the Nuggets were really ever in that conversation.
Yeah, it's actually based on some stuff Cecil was talking about on Thursday when he was, having watched Game 1 and looking at those two teams and saying, man, the Nuggets weren't all that close. I don't know that I agree with Cecil on that. I think they just had their worst possible matchup. Minnesota's got their number. They played physical with them, and the Nuggets didn't have an answer for it. If they bring back the exact same group, bring back Payton Watson, I think they're one of the 5 or 6 top contenders next year too. So I think everybody's kind of jumping off that bandwagon a little too quickly. But I am with you. It was the time to have a dynasty if you were ever going to have one, because there's no other super team. It's not like they're dealing with LeBron and the Heat or Steph and the Warriors or some of those teams that won multiple titles over the course of 5, 6, 7 years. So it just makes the missed opportunity even that much bigger, the fact that they weren't able to take advantage of it and, quite frankly, not even get close. They got the one championship and never got close other than that one. That's maybe the biggest indictment of all.
Well, I'm not going to, because I'll get lit up later if I let you do this. You kind of slipped it in. You're an ever-changing chameleon, James. So what I think I heard, because I don't want to hear this nonsense about, Dan, you're twisting my words. I didn't say that. It was 30 seconds ago. Did you or did you not just soft sell the Nuggets and be like, they kind of ran into a bad matchup. No big deal. They're really talented. We're jumping off the bandwagon. It was a bad matchup. Is that your position now, James? A couple weeks later, 3 weeks later?
No, I think it's three parts. Well, there's multiple, but the three biggest ones. It is a bad matchup. It just is. Minnesota's always been a bad matchup for them.
Minnesota without Ant and without two of their other best scorers, that's a bad matchup. Then you tell me, James, what is a good matchup that the Nuggets can actually win then? You explain it to me.
They can beat San Antonio. They
Get out of
butt all year
town,
long.
dude. Get out of town.
It's a bad matchup, right? They had some health issues, not as many as Minnesota, but they did have health issues, especially to their two best defensive players. And a team that doesn't play defense all that well, you take out their two best defensive players, that's a huge loss. And, then all of a sudden they just got cold. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Jokic and Murray were two of the better open three-point shooters all season long. In the postseason, they were two of the five worst. So, you put all those things together where you lose your best defenders, you're going up against a team that plays you physical, that you have a hard time with, and you're an offensive-minded team that all of a sudden can't hit shots. That becomes a recipe for disaster. Do I think that exact same recipe is going to happen year after year after year? Well, it depends on who they get.
It does happen. Whoa. Who is this? Is this James's brother, Ned? Like, who am I talking to? It does happen every year. It happens every year with the Nuggets and Avalanche, except for I had a good buddy of mine that used to say, what's the exception and what's the norm? The norm is they get beat in the playoffs every year for both the Avs and Nuggets. The exception was the championship for both the Avs and the Nuggets. Are you changing your stance now, James? Oh, it's just a bad matchup? It happens every year. When's it not going to happen?
I'm not changing my stance. What I'm saying is I don't think people should overreact. And by people, I'm talking Josh Kroenke and the Nuggets, that they should overreact and all of a sudden they go trading guys for pennies on the dollar, start doing salary dumps so they can avoid tax, luxury tax and aprons and all the rest of that stuff, and the team is worse. So they're not, if they can get true value for Cam, great, trade him. If you can get true value for AG, great, trade him, but I don't think they're going to be able to. So to make changes just for change's sake, I think would be foolish. I think the change they should have made was the head coach, and that's the same change the Avs should have made as well. But they're making the Rockies look like they're innovative in terms of changes that they make, because that is, Mike Evans used to call it Stan, Pat, and Blake in terms of where Coors Field is. That's what Chopper Circle is at this point. It's Stan, Pat, Circle.
All right. Well, you're saying Stan, Pat, though. Wait a minute. That's what you're saying. You're saying, don't knee jerk and cut salary. Just go back all in. They should have got rid of the coach, but outside of that, just keep it going. Pay $200 million in luxury tax to bring back a team that had a bad matchup against the JV T-Wolves team, but they'll do better next year. That's what I'm hearing, James.
Well, how did the salary dump last year work out?
What salary dump?
Not very well. Yes, it was a salary dump, and now they got a expiring contract in Cam Johnson. So it was a total salary dump before they had to pay $200 million more to MPJ over the course of that contract. So what I'm saying is, if you can't get a trade that is fair value, that's going to improve the team, I don't want them to make trades just to make trades. The change they should have made was the head coach should have brought back this group, with a different head coach and see what they can do. But they decided not to do that, so that's fine, I guess. But like I say, dumping players just to make changes, I think would be a mistake.
Well, they're not dumping.
And I'm never a fan of salary dumps. Why in the world do we care if Stan Kroenke has to pay a luxury tax? He's a billionaire, the largest landowner in America, and we're worried about him having to pay a luxury tax? Give me a break.
Well, but if it winds up being, you're going to pay $200 million extra to bring back a team that couldn't get out of the first round against a decimated T-Wolves team? Well, how does that make any sense?
Well, what is your proposition?
They're obviously going to have to take
under the tax and be worse. So
yes.
Hey, let's save Stan some money and maybe we can get to 41 wins. That'll be a hell of a lot of fun. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, they're going to have to get under the tax so they can reload. They have to cut some dead
Reload
they
with what? They don't have a pick until 2030. How are they going to reload?
Cam Johnson is dead weight. Aaron Gordon, we love him. He can't stay healthy anymore. He's saddling you with a $32 million cap charge. To be honest with you, Jamal Murray, dead weight. You're not going to win with him. Get rid of $80 or $100 million worth of contracts that are not going to help you win an NBA championship, and see if we can get a second run out of Nikola Jokic's the waning part of his prime. That makes sense to me. Pretending that this team is going to be a champion next year if you run it back and pay $200 million in ridiculous luxury taxes, that's like an ostrich burying your head in the sand, James.
Okay, well, I mean, again, if you don't get fair value back, your team is going to be worse. It'll be cheaper, but it'll be worse. So, I mean, I don't know why that as a fan sounds good at all. That certainly isn't going to be a team that's going to get you out of the first or second round. A team with less talent, and you still got David Adelman coaching them. So you're going to give David Adelman a lesser team, and then it's going to get you a different result.
He actually did better. Actually, James, he did have a lesser team the year before and got a much better result. How about that?
Yeah. Well, they had MPJ that year, and an injured MPJ. They had a guy that could actually knock down some shots.
All right, I got to get into a couple.
This year they didn't.
I got to get into a couple other things with you real quick. Avalanche, they're running it back 100%. So can we expect a cup?
There was 4 of them right in a row. Sorry, one more time, Dan.
Avalanche running it back with the looks like Bednar, and probably will have a very similar team. So then, can we expect they just had a bad matchup with the Knights? They're going to win the cup next year.
Well, I mean, again, I would have changed the head coach. I think they need to bring in somebody that's a little bit more of a, get on guys, fire them up. I need a Patrick Waugh type that's going to try and tear down the glass between the bench and the penalty box. That's what I want to see, but they didn't do that. But I'm certainly not a proponent of trading away McCarr, trading away McKinnon, blowing up the core. I think that would be a big mistake. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not in favor of completely standing pat. I was in favor of changing both head coaches, and you and I have talked about it a lot. That is the simplest change to make. And then if that doesn't work, then you start looking at what you want to do with the roster. But, they're going to bring it back. I understand their rationale of, hey, they had a really good season, but they're a team that's built for regular season success, not playoff success. I think we've had a large enough sample size to see that that's the case.
All right, last thing for you, James. I would be remiss if I didn't at least give you an opportunity to tell us about Russell Wilson, future Hall of Famer Russell Wilson, and your thoughts, the emotional moments you had in private this week as he hung him up.
Yeah, it's a shame the way Russ's career ended. Just bouncing around. I'm still disappointed with how it turned out in Denver, not just because of what they gave up and what money-wise and player-wise and pick-wise, and that he underachieved in Denver. I'm just disappointed with the way it all played out in terms of giving him the shot at things. I mean, that second year they go 8-9. They're playing on Christmas Eve with the chance to stay in the playoff hunt. He leads this great fourth-quarter comeback against the Pats, and then Pat Surtain gets beat by a guy that's probably not even in the league anymore. And they end up losing. It's just what could have been. I guess that's what I'm looking at with Russ. I mean, he put up good numbers other than the win-loss column when he was in Denver. Touchdowns, interception, fourth quarter comebacks. Like, he still had some of that magic. He just couldn't quite get over the hump. Like, the game that pops into my mind is he throws the Hail Mary at the end against the Commanders, and they get that. They just need the 2-point conversion to force overtime, and they can't get it. It's I think that's indicative, kind of a microcosm of the Russ era. It was close, but obviously, it's close enough. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. That's the epitome of Russ's time in Denver.
All right. Well, I saw your text. You're saying, "Hey, great career, on to the Hall of Fame." I don't know if he's going to make it or not, but I'm looking at it, James, as the end of the dark times. It's the official turning of the page on the dark times of Broncos history. We're on to the next bright epic.
I just wish we would have seen Sean Payton put as much effort into winning and finding success with Russ as he has with Bo, because when he's in on the quarterback, man, he'll do darn near anything to make sure that guy has success. And I'm not saying he sabotaged Russ, but he certainly didn't set him up for success.
You're not saying that today. You floated that conspiracy theory in past appearances on the show. Yeah.
No, that's definitely the case. And then, he went to Pittsburgh, and he was fine. That is 1 year there. Then at the end of the season, they lost to 5 straight playoff teams. And then in New York, hey, you start 0-3. They're going to make the switch to the kid. But in those 3 games that he played to start the season with the Giants, he had the best game any quarterback had last year in the game he put up against Dallas. So it's not his fault that he gave him a lead with 40 seconds left and the defense blew it. So, he's just one of those guys. When he was in Seattle, it was the perfect scenario and the magic was there, and he just couldn't recreate that in any other place. So sometimes I think Russ is a good example of the grass isn't always greener. He thought he could go find a better situation than Seattle. It's like McLean Stevenson leaving MASH. When you're on a hit, don't leave, Dan. Ride it out as long as you can.
All right, and I don't know who that is, but you're much older than I, so I'll take your word for it. All right, James.
Oh, you know who it is. Dr. Henry Blake? Come on.
The guy with the glasses?
No, that's Radar.
All right, man, MASH was before my time. I don't know what to tell you, man. You're much older than I am.
What do you mean it's before your time? It's before my time, too. It was on after the news every night for like 10 years.
All right. James, we're going to take a couple weeks off. We will be back at it in, I think, 3 weeks. I can't wait.
Looking forward to it. Enjoy your time off, Dan.
All right, that's James Marilat. We got some splaining to do with young Mr. Marilat. What was he saying? The Nuggets just happened to run into a bad matchup. He's all over the place. The James Marilat flip-flop. He's the John Kerry of the fan now. He was before he was against it. He was for it before he was against it. I don't know. We'll unpack some of that stuff. Plus, yes. Bring it back. All right, so let's do this. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll dive into what the heck was he talking about. Coming up next.
With Cortland Sutton and Jalen Waddle being the top guys, who will end up being the Broncos' 3rd most productive receiver this season?
Evan Ingram. I think you might see, he's in the 2nd year here. He'll be more comfortable with Bo, with the offense. And then I think you're going to see Davis Webb highlight the tight end more than maybe Sean Payton did.
I think Pat Bryant is a guy that they really like.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Calling all food enthusiasts. Join Cresco Restaurant Equipment and Supply Company for their 4-day expo sale from June 10th to 13th in Aurora. Enjoy incredible discounts with top quality restaurant equipment and supplies. Meet factory reps, dive into their huge product selection, and enjoy free food and giveaways. Don't miss out. Visit them at 751 Billings Street and search for Cresco Denver Expo for details. Cresco, your local culinary headquarters.
What's up, everybody? Cecil Lammy here for my friends Soda Diet and Nutrition.com. Listen, 5 years ago, I lost 60 pounds with soda, and I'm never going back. Haven't gained the weight back. Why? Because with soda, I learned how to eat, what to eat, and when to eat. And it's so fantastic to do weight loss the right way. There's no mystery pills. I'm not giving myself a shot, and there's no mystery chemicals that I'm putting into my body. This is knowing real food will bring you real results. And speaking of real, Soda got me a real nutritionist, a personalized nutritionist that would work with me one-on-one via text when I had questions, concerned, and just sometimes straight up needed encouragement. Your weight loss journey, you've got a friend, you've got help, and that is Soda. They can be there for you just like they were there for me. I look and feel 10 years younger. I got my confidence back, and right now you can join Soda and your partner joins for free. That's 2 people. Real accountability for the price of 1. Soda changed my life, and I thank them so much. SodaDietNutrition.com. Call them up 866-800-SODA because Soda is state of the art.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-895-1414. That's 800-895-1414.
The biggest country party of the summer is happening Saturday, June 20th at Fiddler's Green Amphitheater. Flyland Cavalry. Knowing that you're never coming back. Shane Smith and the Saints. I ever see is you. Plus Kevin Powers and Lacey K. Booth under the Colorado sky.
Who taught you how to move on? Who showed you how to make it look so damn easy?
Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com. You're listening to the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
All right. On the wrongfall.com text line, all it says is James is right about everything. He was right about Russ. He was right about the Nuggets. Now, when was he right? Was he right this last segment when he was saying the Nuggets should run it back? And that it's always the coach, it's never the players? Or was he right last year when he said, okay, well, we've dealt with the coach. We got to deal with the coach first. And then if we have another year and the players don't do it, then we know we need to make changes? Because under the rationale that he had on this very program, that's what was so perplexing to me. That was going through my head during the conversation. I was like a fembot just exploding. He said this I brought this up to him last year, where he's like, run the players back. To me, it was very clear. The Nuggets roster, these types of players, you're not going to win with them. This is not going to happen. You need to rebuild the darn thing. And they fired a coach. And it still didn't work out. But okay, and so James was like, well, just change the coach thing. I said, well, what about the players? When do the players get held accountable? He said, well, next year. Like he said next year. The players, it would be a shame if we just kind of sweep this under the rug and it goes in the dustbin of history. What a shocking, humiliating, unacceptable loss.
Massive underachieving disappointment
that the Nuggets sleptwalk through. And for James to come on here and say, well, it's a bad matchup. That's not only is that oversimplification, that's borderline dishonest. Like that's like making up a narrative just to fit whatever your new argument is, which I don't know what it is with James. Apparently it is keep all the players. Who cares if Kroenke has to pay a bunch of money? He's rich. Which is also contrary to what James says about the Rockies, which is I don't expect team owners to lose money. They don't just have to do that. So which one is it, James? I don't know. He can't. He's James used to be fairly consistent, and he would go to the grave with a bad take. Like he's essentially done with Russ, right? Like for whatever reason, and this popped into my head when he was tweeting about Russ. He was actually the first guy to say I may have Russ fatigue before Russ ever started a game. And so I thought, well, if Russ doesn't work out, he'll be on the attack. No, at some point he pivoted. I think because he just disliked Sean Payton so much, he's like, well, then I got to make Russ the good guy. And he's just got to stick Russell Wilson on some pedestal that he doesn't deserve, that he's actually been knocked off of. He's been on a pedestal. He was on a pedestal and he got knocked off of. So I don't know why, but he normally sticks with his takes. Now he's jumping around so much, I don't know. But I am pretty darn consistent in that, I do like my team owners to invest. And there are things that are called loss leaders, which is kind of originally what sports teams were. Like Pat Bowlen, for example, bought the Broncos for whatever it was. I don't know, 80 million, 100 million, whatever it was, sold for $4 billion. Now, was he making $1 billion a year every year? No. Were the Broncos famously cash poor at times? Yes. Pat Bowlen had money. He just didn't have billionaire money.
I love him.
But it was still worth it in the end. And in fact, it was Tommy Nalen that was telling, like, yeah, one year, I think it was the year they won the Super Bowl, he had to defer his money and get paid after the season so they could make payroll. Like, they were really cash poor.
And that's
times.
the year that they went over the salary cap to pay everybody and had to pay penalties later.
Cheaters! These cheaters. Cheating Broncos.
No, they paid penalties for it. They didn't cheat. They just,
it was
knowingly
cheating.
broke the rules and paid for it. Kind of like the second apron,
that's
Dan.
Not true. That's not true. First off, that's like saying a murderer didn't do anything wrong.
It's kind of like
he
saying
went to
the
jail
Nuggets had a
for
bad
it.
matchup.
He went to jail for it. Well, that didn't mean it's okay. Didn't mean the Broncos didn't cheat. They did cheat. And they got caught and they paid the penalty. That doesn't mean it wasn't cheating to begin with. I'm just teasing. Now, Joe, you said something to me about, I think they're going to pay the tax and they're just going to have to eat that. They just certainly won't do the second apron tax. And I'm going to try and do some research tonight. I think Zach's hinted at this and nobody's talking about it, so we're all just kind of backing off of it. Joe, I don't think they're going to do that because this repeater tax is the more you get into it, it's not like, okay, well, you're over the tax, you pay, so you're $10 million over the tax, so you're going to pay an extra $10 million in penalties. The further you get over, once you're a repeater, it's like $1. Like if you are $10 million over, then you pay X amount over, $1 for $1. And then once you're 10 to 20 million over, you pay $1.50 for every $1 you're over. And then you pay $2. So if you're 100 million over, you could be paying 200 or 300 million total in tax debt. First off, the Cronkies have never paid more than 20 million in tax. I think ever. I think they've only been over the tax twice. And it was 3 and 4 years ago, like 2 out of the last 3 years, and it was about 20 million. What happens now is, though, if they go, so they made a point to get under the tax this year, which was smart. But if they go over the tax again in the upcoming season, they're in the repeater tax territory with significant penalties, even if you're not in the second apron. I think a reckoning is coming, and I don't blame the Cronkies for it. It's far be it from me to be nice and celebrate things that the Cronkies do, but I don't care if he's the largest landowner in the United States. If he's got to pay $200 million in taxes, I wouldn't expect him to do that, especially not for a team. It's not like you got the 1996 Bulls here ready to go on another run, loaded with Hall of Famers and just won 3 championships. And if you could just keep it together for one more year.
Stop it. Get some help.
Maybe you can win another title. No, the Nuggets are nowhere close. They can't even get out of the first round against a JV team. Why on earth? Because if you stay under the tax this year, then you are out of that repeater tax category, because the repeater tax is 3 out of every 4 the last 4 years, which if they go over this year, that'll be 3 out of 4. And that repeater tax crushes them.
According to what I just Googled,
yes,
the repeater tax will cost them about $40 million. So that's still less than 200, but can we still expect the Cronkies to pay even $40 million?
Well, one, you can't say $40 million because you don't know what their situation is going to be yet. What does that mean? Like if they just have the roster now, it
like
would
if
be
they're
$40
over
million.
the repeater tax apron at the start of the season, that repeater tax will owe, according to the first Google I did with the AI, about $41 million.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's that simple because it's a
probably
scale.
not.
It's a scale from what I saw. From my Googling, what I saw was a scale. And so you can't even peg it right now. What you could do is you could say, okay, well, the Nuggets right now are, I believe, unless I'm wrong, they're about $2 million right now without Payton Watson. They're about $2 million under the apron. They're about $100 million over the tax. And if so, the repeater tax on that, I got to figure this out, but I think it's at least $150 million on that. But we're not talking Payton Watson yet. So what happens when you throw Payton Watson in there? 20, which they're saying the best the Nuggets would be able to do is maybe pay him a little less next year, which would be like $20 million, and overpay him in other years of the contract. Well, they'd be way over at that point. So I don't even think you can do a repeater tax calculation right now because you don't know what their payroll's going to be.
Yeah, so right now they're $15 million over the $200 million luxury tax apron. So they would need to clear off $20 million or $15 million and then enough to pay Payton Watson.
So another
if they
20.
plan to pay him.
So $35 million. That's what we're talking about. All right, well, one more segment today, and then, of course, the easy, like Sunday morning edition of the Dan Jacobs Show coming at you tomorrow morning at 10. We'll wrap this thing up strong next.
It's the ultimate showdown for a great cause. Setting up the ultimate gold medal showdown. On June 11th, Brandon Stokely goes head-to-head with Zach By in 100 Holes for Kids. 100 holes of golf. It's a one-day event all to raise money for Recruiting Classroom, whose mission it is to help kids play sports. Who will raise the most? That's where you come in. Pick your player, make your donation, and help kids win. To support Brandon Stokely, head to StokelyCares.com. To support Zach By, head to ZachCares.com.
Hey, Stoke here for ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Summer's coming in hot. Don't wait. Beat the rush with an early bird cooling system tune-up and inspection for only $49 from ROX Rocks Heating and Air. They'll inspect your system and keep you cool when everyone else is scrambling. Call Rocks Heating and Air today and schedule your tune-up before the end of June. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Walmart is proud to sponsor the Be a Mentor, Be a Fan football camp with 104.3 The Fan. Broncos alumni hosts and South High School coaches are teaming up to support Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Colorado and help inspire the next generation through mentorship, teamwork, and community.
Every hunt tells a story. Let Ty's Taxidermy in Loveland bring yours back to life. Big game, birds, fish skin mounts, and reproduction. Expert detail since 2001. Call 970-669-1119 or visit Ty'sTaxidermy.com.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions.
Edition of the Dan Jacobs Show at 10 a.m. Judge Dan, has anyone brought up the possibility of the Nuggets building a, quote, super team and paying the luxury tax and repeater tax but having higher quality players? That's, I'm going to butcher it, but Tensei from Greeley, Tensei? Tensei from Greeley. I brought it up in my own mind. I don't think anybody's seriously considering it because the only whispers I heard were, could they do something to get Giannis? Could they trade away Aaron Gordon, Cam Johnson, and Christian Brown and get Giannis? And then you'd have Jamal, Jokic, and Giannis. That'd be a super team. You would hope they'd have a shot. But so far, that's not coming. Now, the other thing is LeBron's still out there. And I don't think the Lakers want him. And the Lakers, I did hear something about they would be intrigued by a Christian Brown type that maybe he fits into that system. And I think Aaron Gordon fits in pretty much everywhere, doesn't he? The way he plays. You giggling?
I'm giggling because Aaron Gordon, we can't guarantee if he's healthy. Like, yes, healthy Aaron Gordon fits in anywhere. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah. Well, to me, it was very telling that Josh Kroenke specifically mentioned, in a way that he's not prone to do, that Aaron Gordon's a problem right now. He's like, basically, to paraphrase, we all love Aaron Gordon, but he's not healthy. And he tried to walk it back by saying, so we got to do a better job of making him healthy.
He's right. They do.
How do you do that? You think they would, they said, we have some resources here and they're limited. So while we would like Aaron Gordon to be healthy, we can't fully commit to it. I know we could do a better job at keeping him healthy or making him healthy, but we'll do that maybe some other time.
Yeah, maybe like have a training facility. That'd be nice.
What do you mean they have a training facility?
Yeah, inside of Ball Arena, and it sucks.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possibly just that Aaron Gordon can't be healthy, but the Nuggets can absolutely do a better job. I think that's one of the fascinating things about this offseason is with all of the guys that they need to trade away, do they try to replace Aaron Gordon but keep him on the roster and maybe he comes back healthy and all of a sudden you're good? Or is he going to get traded, Dan?
Well, the problem is he's $32 million, which he wasn't last year. His contract kicks in and it's just killing them.
Just send him to like the Pelicans or something.
Right. I'm under the assumption that you can trade Aaron Gordon because everybody, I'm not sold on him yet, but everybody else is. And so they got to have Payton Watson. Well, if you bring back Payton Watson, isn't he starting in place of Aaron Gordon?
Until Gordon's fully healthy, yes.
Well, once Aaron Gordon's fully healthy, where does he play?
He's going to start at the 4. Payton Watson probably plays the 3, the small forward position, because you probably have traded Cam Johnson at this point.
Probably, you think. And then what, Brown plays 2?
Yes, that's what he plays currently. Right. Yeah, he can do like the 2 or the 3, be a shooting guard or a small forward, for those that don't know the numbers that correspond with basketball positions.
Well, because I don't even know how much they correspond now, right? Like
less now than they ever did before.
Right. So you're talking about paying him starter money when right now there's not a starting position for him. So I would assume part of the calculus would be we're going to bet on Payton Watson, young, up-and-coming talent, and Aaron Gordon with his $32 million a year has got to go. And nobody's talking about it like Zach was before, except for me. If you are that strapped for trying to get under because you've overpaid on these contracts for guys that can't get out of the first round, Jamal Murray's making $50 million, and you're trying to sell him as the guy that's going to carry you to a championship alongside Nikola Jokic when he clearly is not going to do that. Why on earth wouldn't you trade him? I heard somebody say this one time. I think it was in fact, I remember now. Yeah, it was Dover and Cecil. Well, yeah, but who else would have the chemistry with Nikola Jokic? What?
Bogdan Bogdanovic in the Olympics? Like, come on.
Like anybody that can play is going to have chemistry with with Nikola Jokic. He's one of the best ever. He's he's the best passing big man of all time.
Yes.
You will find people that have chemistry with him. Now, maybe those people won't disappear in the playoffs or disappear when it matters the most, like Jamal Murray does. And just maybe you don't have to pay them $50+ million a year to disappoint and break the hearts of your fan base. So I think if you could, honestly, you could still, Zach calls it a gap year. I think that's what we're looking at. It's going to be a gap year. They may still make the playoffs. I would expect them to still make the playoffs. But I don't expect them to be serious contenders. They're under serious financial pressure. Nobody's taking into account the fact that they went all in this year, and it was a horrific result, and you can't just do the same thing again next year because financially, with the way these contracts are rolling in, it's not going to make sense. They're going to have to probably take that gap year, but what if by the time you come out of that gap year, you're retooled and you're not saddled with Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray and their enormous contracts? The NBA salary cap is what? Right around $170 million. Is that right, Joe? Not the tax.
Minimum is $165.
$165. Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, just those two players, $80+ million, more than half of it. Think about what would happen is if you could take them out of the equation, get some young guys in there to develop during the gap year, and then make your run. And now Peyton Watson's balling out. What I'm being sold is he's better than Aaron Gordon would ever be anyway.
I don't know about that, but he's definitely pretty good. But I think you're onto something, Dan. When you mentioned the Giannis trade, not to actually get Giannis, but to be the team that gets the good player traded for Giannis. Remember how the Boston Celtics got Drew Holiday from Milwaukee because Milwaukee sent Drew Holiday, and then he immediately got routed from Portland to Boston. I want to be that team. I don't want to get Giannis. I want to get maybe Tyler
Brunson,
Hero,
right?
You know,
Wasn't Brunson kind of just run of the mill somewhere else, and he got to New York and huge?
Jalen Brunson was the partner to Luka Doncic, and so he went to New York in free agency and just took more money.
But now he's crazy good.
Really good. And he took a pay cut. He did a Tom Brady thing, Brunson, to not make a max contract like Jamal Murray did, and all of a sudden now they have more money to pay stars.
Yeah. So there's going to be some difficult. We're just kind of laying in wait here as the NBA Finals get over, and but I think there's going to be some bombshell stuff coming out of the Denver Nuggets as we move forward. And also with the Avalanche, I don't know that they're just going to run it back exactly as it is. I would assume there'll be some roster tweaking, but I don't know. Like I don't know how. Do they have honest self-reflection and say, you know what, this is a problem every year, and here's why. And so we need to change our style of play or our philosophy or our roster makeup or our offensive system. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, or if they're just going to say, you know what, it's just one of those deals. It's hard to win championships, and it worked for us 5 years ago. Why can't it work this year? We won the President's Trophy, which, by the way, they got some people were giving them the hard time. The best team in hockey, regular season, and then they can't win in the playoffs. I don't know enough about soccer. All I heard was, was it the Arsenal? How great the Arsenal are, and this and that, and they're champions. They won a championship. Well, the way that sport is structured, they were the same as the Avs. They were the best team in soccer in their league all year long, and so they got the Premier League Cup or whatever, which was the regular season. And then they got into the playoffs and lost. I think they did lose in the finals. So they're having a parade with a championship banner and all this stuff when the day after they lost the championship. I'm like, what's going on here? This is completely backwards. And Chad Andrews we're having some fun via text. He says, well, it says champions on it. I said, yeah, like the Rockies. Remember the Rockies? People don't think the Rockies have any championships. Oh, not true. They were wild card champions that one year. Remember, they took such heat for hanging the banner that said NL West Wild or whatever, NL Wild Card Champions. I mean, it's kind of, I know soccer's different. It's like NASCAR. Daytona's their big race or whatever, but I'm taking it off. I was giving Kroenke credit for 5 titles and 87 attempts. I'm back down to 4. That doesn't count. That was regular season. Regular season championship.
Yeah, it's weird. They give like just the best team in the regular season cup. I learned that watching the Wrexham show with Ryan Reynolds buying the soccer team. It's ridiculous. Like, you didn't win anything. You were the best in the regular season. Come on, man. Win a tournament.
All right, Joe, good job out of you. I shall see you upon my return from, well, I won't because you'll be in Telluride. But you're going to Telluride. I'm going to Ireland. But I will be back tomorrow for the Easy Like Sunday Morning edition of the Dan Jacobs Show. Would love to see you then.
He's Judge Dan J. He doesn't mean no harm, but he doesn't mind telling you he's right, you are wrong. He's reading your checks, he's taking your calls. It's the Dan Jacobs Show, and he'll decide what the law will allow. Making your day the only way he knows how, by giving you the facts, cutting through the BS now. He's Judge Dan J. He doesn't mean no harm, but he doesn't mind telling you he's right and you are wrong.
With their recent run of good play and the Nuggets and Avalanche being done, are the Rockies playing for something more than just wins and losses right now?
You've got, what, how many weeks before training camp? End of July? You've got almost 2 months now as a Rockies team to recapture the fascination of a sleeping giant when it comes to baseball.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Getting a little older doesn't have to mean, well, getting older. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. And if you're feeling low energy, can't sleep, can't lose weight, are struggling with brain fog, or your sex drive is off, it's time to change it up. At the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, our advanced medical strategies featuring TRT, GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more treat low T and other hormonal issues to help you shed pounds, have more energy, enhance your body composition, improve sleep, increase your sex drive, and so much more. Getting you back in the game again. So don't be older. Be stronger in the gym. Be sharper at work. Be better in the bedroom, and be more confident in every part of your life. So call us today and find out how our advanced treatment strategies could change the game for you. Your first visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on one of our advanced treatments,